In this way, day by day passed. The two genuinely seemed like a couple. Swinging at the mountain top, rowing a small boat on the sea, strolling under the willow shade, climbing mountains for a distant view. Except for not kissing too passionately, everything was so perfect. However, Lin Zaiasu still sensitively noticed that Chang Yi's complexion was growing increasingly off. On the fifth day, the third pleasant interaction between the two was completed. Chang Yi's face was as pale as paper in the darkness. "What's wrong with you?" Lin Zaiasu gently touched her forehead. "Nothing, the gene rejection day is near," Chang Yi replied. "You scared me, so it's this year's gene rejection day that's coming," Lin Zaiasu said. "When exactly?" "Tomorrow. I'll stay with you." "No," Chang Yi said. "My rejection day lasts especially long, sometimes several months. You don't have to stay with me tomorrow. You should go home." "All right then." Lin Zaiasu fell asleep. What he didn't know was that Chang Yi didn't sleep that night. She quietly lay in his arms, staring at his face without blinking, occasionally brushing her lips against his, finding it hard to let go. On the morning of the next day, it was Lin Zaiasu's sixth day at base 101. When he woke up, Chang Yi was not in the room. On the bedside was a piece of paper with a line of elegant handwriting. "I've gone into the rejection room, my love, love you." The swing set outside was still in the wind. In the small garden outside, the wind occasionally carried a hint of withered yellow. This is what Chief Long called chrysanthemum. Under the swing set, there was a bowl, the last breakfast that Chang Yi prepared for him. Lin Zaiasu finished this breakfast and went down the slope. Everything was so harmonious, yet by the seaside ahead, a figure slowly turned around, startling Lin Zaiasu. Xinyu. Xinyu wasn't unusual at 101. What was unusual was that she hadn't disturbed him for 6 days. "Hi Xinyu, long time no see." Lin Zaiasu raised his hand, greeting her warmly. In Xinyu's eyes, 2 tears suddenly welled up, sliding down her cheeks. The smile on Lin Zaiasu's face suddenly vanished. "What's wrong?" Xinyu's tears flowed more. "What on earth happened? What's wrong?" Lin Zaiasu was shocked. Was Xinyu someone who would cry? No, she never was. When encountering injustice, she dared to face anyone. She would rather the world suffer grievances than herself. Her tears were more surprising than her blood. Xinyu took a deep breath. "She's going to die." "Who?" "The one who was with you for the past 6 days and nights," Xinyu said. "She didn't want me to tell you, but I must let you know she's going to be gone. She'll never ever come back." She. "What?" Lin Zaiasu was visibly shaken. "Chang Yi going to be gone? How could it be? How could this happen?" He just had a gene rejection. Every genetic person worldwide goes through a gene rejection once a year. She herself had experienced it more than 10 times. "She's different from ordinary people," Xinyu sobbed. "Take a look at her genetic sequence and you'll understand." "Show me." Lin Zaiasu's expression was extremely serious. Xinyu took out the dragon eye, and a genetic sequence image was transmitted into Lin Zaiasu's dragon eye. Lin Zaiasu trembled lightly all over. His understanding of gene was not below those of conventional genetic scientists. At a glance, he saw Chang Yi's uniqueness. Chang Yi's initial genetic code was very peculiar. She was based on poison. If this poison didn't change, she could maintain this dynamic balance for a long time. However, her poison had been evolving all along. There's a critical value for evolving poison. Breaking this critical value, the poison would exceed what her body could endure. What would happen? The various organs constituting the body would all turn into a pool of poisonous liquid. "Blue demon," Lin Zaiasu uttered 2 words solemnly. Dragon Eye was activated, connecting to Blue Demon. However, it didn't connect. At the corner of the wall ahead, someone slowly turned around, still a stranger at first glance, but once the face was fully revealed, it was none other than Blue Demon. With a movement of her foot, Blue Demon appeared in front of him, with a thick sadness on her face. "Actually, I also promised her not to tell you the truth, but I can't get over the hurdle in my heart. I don't dare to imagine what kind of look you would have when you learn the truth in the future, so I would rather betray the sisterhood agreement between me and her," Blue Demon said. "Qianlong has given up, hasn't he?" Lin Zaiasu's voice was very dry. "Chief Long doesn't want to give up. None of us wants to give up," Blue Demon said, "but modern technology has given up on her. Chang Yi was their sister. If there was even a tiny bit of possible solution, How could it have come to this? Qianlong is the most top-tier institution, gathering the best geneticists, the most advanced gene technology, top-notch medical equipment, and the highest caliber talents. However, all of this only confirms one thing. Even the King of Hell cannot save those destined to die. The uniqueness of Changyi lies in her existence through poison. Her essence is poison. Poison is the blood flowing through her veins, her source of power, the foundation of her life. After her poison evolved, her body could no longer bear it. What can be done? Typically, it would suffice to detoxify a poisoned person. But for her, it's impossible. Even if it were possible, it's still impossible. Why? Because detoxifying her is equivalent to removing the foundation of her life. She would only die faster. I'm going to check on her. In the dedicated laboratory, Lin Zaiasu could see Changyi. Changyi couldn't see him. She was seriously inserting needles all over her body, doing it herself. Her expression was very calm, as if she were conducting an experiment she had done countless times in her life. Perhaps it's not as if, but indeed is. Her final experiment was using herself as the test subject, leaving the most toxic experimental data for this world. From then on, she would no longer be a being but a collection of data. Lin Zaiasu quietly watched her, his eyes full of crystal clarity. In his ear, Blue Demon's voice came. She once said she was born in an orphanage, thinking she was just a soon-to-wilt flower in this world. However, after a rainstorm, an umbrella rose over her head and an old man took her to Qianlong. In Qianlong, she met her godfather who gave her a father's love. She encountered us who gave her sisterly affection. She met you and tasted the flavor of love, showcased her worth in the strange realm, and now, returning, she has no regrets. Though these words came lightly, her tears too dropped onto the floor. She may truly have no regrets, but I do, Lin Zaiasu said. I don't allow this regret to exist. I absolutely do not allow it. His voice was hoarse and low. As soon as his voice fell, Lin Zaiasu was gone. The next moment, he appeared in the files room of Base 101. In the file room, he opened the electronic screen, and knowledge of medicine and genetics flashed by frantically. For a whole day and night, he lay in the file room motionless. The next day, he appeared in another file room, where various forbidden laws flashed by frantically. On the third day, Blue Demon appeared before him, Lin Zaiasu's eyes already bloodshot, and for the first time in his life, he saw fine stubble on his chin. His hair was also a disheveled mess. You haven't eaten a grain of rice or drunk water for 3 days, Blue Demon said. Modern medicine, genetic technology, the cultivation path, goo technique, and even folk remedies, I couldn't find an answer. Tell me, what have I missed? Lin Zaiasu stared at Blue Demon with a trace of madness in his eyes. In these 3 days, he sorted out all the ways he could think of for Changyi's condition. Modern technology, abandoned. Gene technology, abandoned. He even thought about goo technique, but it had no effect. The detoxification method he was originally best at, the rejuvenation secret technique, also lost its effectiveness. Because Changyi's situation is so unique, the question of whether her poison could be detoxified is one aspect. The most difficult part is this: it must not be detoxified. She still possesses a little life fire, given by the poison. Detoxifying her would mean extracting her life, causing her to die faster. And if not detoxified, one can only watch her life fire slowly extinguish. She is a paradox of existence. She is the embodiment of contradictions. Blue Demon, facing his expectant gaze, gently shook her head, her eyes filled with sadness and helplessness. Senior sister, you go out first. I'll think again. There's got to be a way. There must be. Lin Zaiasu gently waved his hand. Blue Demon slowly walked out of the reading room, with a gentle gesture of her hand. A robotic beauty carried a tray with food and water into the reading room, but Lin Zaiasu, with his eyes closed in contemplation, did not react at all. Blue Demon, looking through the glass window, felt only sorrow at heart. Could I still be wrong? Should I not have told him about this? It was a futile matter from the start. Why must I subject him to such painful torment? Suddenly, Lin Zaiasu raised his hand and made a phone call. In Luoba State, under the Alpine Mountains, a small wooden cabin stood quietly in the autumn breeze. Saintess Qian Ling reclined in a hanging chair, gently swaying with its motion. Her heart seemed to wander leisurely, slightly lost in this peace. As a person of ancient times, she doesn't belong to this world. Not due to inability to integrate, but inherent resistance. The mountains and rivers below are not her homeland. The people below are not her kin. She is separated from them not by the distance from the mountain waste to its base, but by countless centuries. Perhaps the only thing that can give her a sense of belonging is Daxia, because of its cultural attributes. Yes, cultural attributes, which perhaps is the deepest insight she has had after assimilating with Catherine's modern sensibility. Cultural attributes are extensive, hazy, omnipresent. If the land of Daxia gave her a sense of belonging, there is also a person she cannot forget. A small detective from Fengcheng, Lin Ziasu. She doesn't know if it's because of the 2 times true chi stirred her most sensitive spot, letting her experience both shyness and surprise, or because that drop of heavenly star tears from him was assimilated by her, creating some connection. This little rascal promised to come. When is he coming? He said at least 3 months, at most half a year. It's been nearly 5 months since then. In these 5 months, he has thrived in his world. She knows well about his string of achievements even from 5,000 kilometers away. Surely his cultivation has progressed, right? How many heavenly star tears has he produced again? When they meet next, will he really give them to her? Every star crossing the sky will eventually meet another star. He, being the first person she met upon revealing herself, might just be the star she encounters while wandering the heavens. Chapter 471. Chapter 471. To be a god on the cultivation road or a human in the mortal world. Suddenly, the phone vibrated. Saintess Kyan Ling felt a bit annoyed. She didn't like dealing with the people in her current family, yet there were always some inconsiderate people who would call her frequently. However, the moment she fished out the phone, her heart suddenly raced. Caller ID, Lin Ziasu. Saintess Kyan Ling took a deep breath and answered. Is today's call to tell me that our agreement from that day is about to be fulfilled? Saintess Kyan Ling's voice was calm and smooth. No, there's something I need you to give me an answer to. Lin Ziasu's voice was deep. What is it? There's a person who has used poison as a base, and the poison has evolved to the point that the body cannot bear it. The life fire is about to extinguish. From your perspective, is there any remedy you can think of? Using poison as a base, the poison evolves born from poison, yet also perishing because of poison, Saintess Kyan Ling pondered. Yes, this is life's paradox. Modern technology cannot solve such a life paradox. I know that modern technology cannot solve it. That's why I'm asking you, if we set aside modern technological theories and rely on ancient techniques, is there any possibility of resolution? Setting aside modern technology, relying on ancient techniques. These words almost pointed out the roots of Saintess Kyan Ling. Almost told her, I know you are not a modern person. Saintess Kyan Ling pondered for a long time. There is a method, but it's merely theoretical, lacking practical implementation. Tell me, Lin Ziasu's voice suddenly heightened. At the end of life, a single tear, even after 1,000 deaths, can pull someone back. At the end of life, a single tear, Lin Ziasu asked, what does this refer to? It refers to the highest level tier, born from the cultivation technique in the Life Law series. My rejuvenation secret technique is part of the Life Law series. Yes. Can my heavenly star tier save her? Lin Ziasu's heart raced. You need to listen carefully to what I say, Saintess Kyan Ling said. I'm talking about the highest level of heavenly star tiers, not flesh star but bone star. What I have produced is indeed bone star. What? Saintess Kyan Ling was utterly shocked. Lin Ziasu laughed heartily. It's about time I confessed to you. You gave me a theory that day, and I implemented according to your theory. You thought I produced flesh star, but actually I have always produced bone star. Now, it seems, striving for perfection is indeed a good habit. Thank you. His voice swept away the previous deep gloom, suddenly expressing unparalleled exuberance. Wait a minute, Saintess Kyan Ling shouted. Lin Ziasu had already removed the phone from his ear, but placed it back near his ear again. Saintess Kyan Ling's voice was urgent and fast. Did you really produce Bone Star? Absolutely. You want to use this Bone Star to save someone. That's why I said thank you. She is very important to me. No, absolutely not. Under no circumstances should you. Why? Saintess Kyan Ling took a deep breath. Because the stars can only form 9, they can't be 10. If you waste one heavenly star tier, the path of stars will be flawed. You will never enter the observing heaven realm in your lifetime. Lin Ziasu was stunned. Heavenly star tiers, the star skin can be discarded. The flesh star can be integrated, however, the bone star, not a single one can be discarded. Because if you discard skin, you can upgrade to flesh. If you discard flesh, you can upgrade to bone, and beyond bone there is no path. If you discard even one of them, only 8 remain. 8 stars cannot illuminate the sky. 8 stars present a deficiency. He will never enter the observing heaven realm. Saintess Kyan Ling said, "In just over a year's cultivation, you have reached such a level, truly a heavenly pride, able to discard skin to integrate flesh and directly attain bone star. Even during the great ancient times of Wan clan rivalry, you are pride among heavenly pride. Your path of cultivation is more important than anything. Do not act impulsively and easily abandon your path of cultivation." Lin Zaiasu slowly lifted his gaze. "Understood, thank you." He pressed a finger and hung up. Saintess Kyan Ling bounced up and ran toward the hill. If there was a path in front of her, she might follow it, rush to his side, and stop him from doing something foolish. Yet in front of her was the strong mountain wind from the Alpine mountains. Before her lay the vast land of Luoba State. She and him were separated by thousands of miles. What she could say, she said. But she wasn't certain if he would listen. Lin Zaiasu gently lifted his hand, brushing his face. The beard on his chin was gently shaved away by him, using true qi as a blade. His eyes, the bloodshot, quickly dispelled. His hand lifted, hair combed through. His whole being once again stepped onto this island in a handsome and graceful manner. Because he had already stepped out of the boundless gloom. The door opened, Blue Demon strolled in, walked before him, looking at his face that had regained its spirited vigor. Lin Zaiasu stretched out his hand and rested it on her shoulder, saying, "Senior sister, congratulate me. I've found a wondrous method." His joy couldn't affect Blue Demon, who sighed softly. Cutting off your own path of cultivation is also called a wondrous method. Lin Zaiasu was slightly startled, gaze lifted, staring at a few small holes above. Blue Demon said, "It seems caring for someone can truly make a detective lose their instincts. You've actually overlooked the surveillance in this reading room." The smile on Lin Zaiasu's face vanished, quietly looking at her. Blue Demon said, "She wasn't wrong in just a little over a year reaching such a point. Your path of cultivation is infinitely far-reaching. Proceeding along this path, you could truly become a god on the cultivation path." Lin Zaiasu said, "Becoming a god on the cultivation path, although desirable, I still wish to first be a human." Blue Demon said, "Are you really sure you want to do this?" Lin Zaiasu laughed and turned around. Blue Demon extended her hand and embraced him from behind. It was her first time initiating a hug in her life. This embrace, unaffected by the wind or moon. This embrace, she cannot discern her own heart. "Senior sister, delete this segment of surveillance." "All right. Don't worry, even if my cultivation path ends here with my current strength, I can still complete this phase of the mission." Lin Zaiasu gently patted her hand on his chest. "What about later?" Blue Demon's voice came very softly. "No one knows what will happen later. I cannot sacrifice her now for some intangible later." Blue Demon slightly loosened her grip. She let go. With this release, she knew Chang Yi could be saved. With this release, she also knew a peerless prodigy had fallen. On one side is the lover in reality. On the other, the grand dream. In this world, many may face such a choice daily, but what transformation will his choice bring? A person who could have become a god ultimately chose to become human. Lin Zaiasu left the reading room. Outside, the sun filled the sky. Autumn sun, autumn island. Autumn seawater, autumn birds. The wind blows, the waves leap. Diane's crystal droplets resemble Li Ren tears. Lin Zaiasu strolled along the seaside road, a sword churned in his heart. That sword infinitely beautiful, infinitely charming. That sword he is actually so close. Yet from today onwards, that sword will be beyond reach. Because the observing heaven realm he pursued will never arrive. He severed his own observing heaven path. And inadvertently severed Li Ren tears. Why are Li Ren tears so stunningly beautiful? Perhaps because this sword soaked in the myriad twists of departure, life changes constantly. In the surveillance room, 2 technicians wore expressions of sorrow. Beside them, Xinyu lost her charming smile. She stared at the monitoring data on the large screen before her, data like countless needles pricking at her heart. Every set of data recorded Chang Yi's physical condition. The arm data showed only 7.8%, but it was 9.6% this morning. The leg data showed only 3.5%, but it was 4.6% this morning. Chang Yi can no longer stand. Her arms can no longer move. Because every minute her bones are melting, her nerves are melting. Xinyu watched the data fluctuate, watched it decline, as if witnessing her sister being sawed apart bit by bit, reducing her life index to 0. This pain she cannot bear. She wants to vent, she wants to howl at the sky, but all is futile. Suddenly, through tear-filled eyes, she saw a shadow. This person's face bore a familiar smile. Xinyu raised her hand sharply, wiped away her tears, and stared at the approaching Lin Zaiasu. Her heartbeat instantly raced to 180. Why is he smiling? Lin Zaiasu came before her. Xinyu, how about a bet? A bet? Xinyu struggled to utter a word. Bet that I can save her life in one stroke, Lin Zaiasu said. If I win, can you erase my name from your hatred notebook? Erase your name? What's the point? If you win, I'll burn my notebook. Xinyu nearly jumped. Open the door. Lin Zaiasu faced the technician. The technician's eyes were full of doubt. Opening the door now. A blue shadow flashed, and a figure came to the control panel, flicked a finger, pressing a button, and the door opened. It was Blue Demon. She operated it personally. Lin Zaiasu entered the lab. Chang Yi lay quietly on the bed, wires inserted all over her body. Her hands could not move, her entire body could not move. But her eyes could still open. Her eyes opened, watching in astonishment the person walking step by step towards her, Lin Zaiasu. Her beloved. He did not leave. He came. Darling, I'm here. Lin Zaiasu's 5 words gently drifted into her ears, Chang Yi grateful her hearing still existed, allowing her to hear this rare sweet talk. Sadly, her mouth could no longer open, her tears could no longer flow. Next, your consciousness may wander in a haze. I need to tell you something. Blink your eyes if you hear it. Chang Yi gently blinked. I'm waiting for you to come back in the mortal world. You must return to me. Chapter 472. Chapter 472. I allow you to cheat 30 times. As the voice fell, Lin Zaiasu raised his finger. At his fingertip, a drop of crystal-clear tear. Bone Star. The bone star flew up and shot into Chang Yi's forehead. In Chang Yi's consciousness, she seemed to have floated to the 9th heaven, facing a vast night sky, where a meteor flew in, merging into her whole body, and in her heart, there was only one sentence left. I am waiting for you in this mortal world, come back. Outside the room, Xinyu's eyes opened wide. King Lanshan, what is this? A tear at the end of life, even after 10,000 deaths, it can pull one back. Blue Demon gently turned around, with crystalline brilliance in her eyes. The technician suddenly shouted, look. Everyone's eyes focused on the large screen in front. All kinds of data in front of them were changing at the same time. The data line that had been sliding down now became a wavy line. Sliding down, rising again, sliding down again, rising again. Inside Chang Yi, it was no longer a one-way declining curve. Now there was a rising curve. King Lanshan, Xinyu grabbed Blue Demon's shoulder. What on earth is happening? This tear is not detoxification. It maintains her vitality. Let the poison evolve as it may, keep the vitality ongoing and wait for the final settling. Yes, this is the ultimate function of the heavenly star tear. It is not actually detoxification. Detoxification is ineffective for Chang Yi. If you detoxify, the foundation of Chang Yi's life would be gone too. This drop of heavenly star tear ensures that no matter what extreme situation she finds herself in, she can keep that spark of life from extinguishing. No matter how much her body is tormented, she just won't die. Once this round of torment is over, Chang Yi will have passed through her ghost gate, reorganizing at a higher level. This is the only way. Lin Zaiasu left the laboratory. Xinyu bounced up, probably intending to throw herself into his arms, but stopped abruptly in front of him. Forget the hug. If I hug you, little C, you definitely take advantage. Oh my. Everyone was torn between laughter and tears. Xinyu said, the bet is yours. I'll go and burn my little book of grudges later. From now on, whatever you do, I won't hate you. Really? Lin Zaiasu said. If I enhance Huya's skills a bit, let her stomp you into the mud, would you still not hate me? PSSH, Xinyu said. You can enhance Li Dianian's combat power. If you can, why not ascend to heaven? At most, you decoax her into bed and get it done. Blue Demon directly reached out, grabbing Lin Zaiasu. Let's go." With a sway of their bodies, the two disappeared. They arrived by the sea. As the sea breeze rose, Blue Demon's hair fluttered and her face slowly turned. "You succeeded." Lin Zaiasu laughed. "I saw the data. Barring any surprises, she will become a nirvana being." A nirvana being? Blue Demon's face was very animated. Lin Zaiasu said, "So-called nirvana beings, in fact, are formed by extreme oppression, creating self-protection in their bloodstream. This round of extreme oppression is stronger than any other. Whatever is in the bloodstream, it has to steam out. That is the basic principle of nirvana. In the world of genes, there are nirvana beings. Why does such a peculiar form of life as the nirvana being occur? Simply put, it's life self-protection. Why are nirvana beings so rare? It's because under such oppression, out of 10,000 genetic people, maybe 9,990 can't bear it. Their lives end first. Therefore, theoretically, it's not just those with the blood of ancient mysterious race who could become nirvana beings. Theoretically, anyone could have the chance. The prerequisite is that you can withstand the extreme oppression of the bloodline without losing your life first. At this moment, Chang Yi, with that drop of Lin Zaiasu's heavenly star tear inside her, can withstand the most extreme oppression, so Lin Zaiasu gave a very optimistic, but also very unexpected prediction. Chang Yi should become a nirvana being. You traded your dead-end path for her nirvana, really? Lin Zaiasu raised his hand. "Stop, let's not discuss this matter further." "All right then, the facts are established. Analyzing further would just be self-inflicting trouble," Blue Demon said. "I'll take you home. On the flying vehicle, let's discuss some things." With a wave of her hand, a flying vehicle rose from the void, hovering above them. The two of them moved and entered the flying vehicle. Blue Demon's finger tapped, and a tray rose from below, immediately filling the flying vehicle with the aroma of food. "You even have food ready in your flying vehicle." Blue Demon smiled sweetly. 3 days and nights without a drop to drink, faced with the destiny decision between you and her, you didn't flinch. Although there are many rumors in the world about your Lin Zios's promiscuity and shamelessness, I saw through it. Promiscuity you may have, but shameless certainly not. No matter how Chang Yi thinks, I personally accept you. If you stray 30 times. My heavens, stray 30 times. That's a long and arduous task for me. Lin Zaiasu picked up the food on the tray and devoured it like a whirlwind sweeping through clouds. After eating, tea was consumed. "Now you rest, sleep well, and I'll discuss matters with you after." Blue Demon lightly tapped her finger, and the interior of the flying vehicle turned into a starry sky. The flying vehicle flew gently, and Lin Zaiasu slept soundly. This sleep carried him past sunset and moonrise, until the early morning of the next day. When Lin Zaiasu's eyes opened, the flying vehicle had already stopped. Outside the window was the scenery of Tashan. He was home. The mountain wind blew in through the half-open window, accompanied by the newly risen morning sun. Everything seemed so peaceful and serene once more. "Have you slept well?" Blue Demon's voice came through. "I've slept well." Lin Zaiasu stretched his body lazily. "Then shall we discuss some sensational matters?" Blue Demon said. "Sure." Blue Demon gently slid her hand, closing the car window. Inside the flying vehicle, there was complete silence from the outside world. "Let me ask you a question first. This question is something that countless people in Qianlong want to ask, but it's hard to phrase," said Blue Demon. "Go ahead." "During your trip to Yingyu country with Zhao Zhen, you managed to get a wing blade device. How exactly did you do it?" This matter had already stirred up huge waves within the two major superpowers. Over on the nine-headed snake side, they're conducting a thorough investigation into the senior research team to find the double agent who set up the subterfuge. What about over at Qianlong? The top ranks were completely baffled. Was there a double agent? Was there a subterfuge? How come I don't know about it? Blue Demon was reluctantly considered the top rank, and she really wanted to ask Lin about it. Lin Zaiasu smiled. "To be honest, the so-called subterfuge is just nonsense." "As if I didn't know it was nonsense." Blue Demon glared at him. "You need to explain how you actually did it." "Array control," Lin Zaiasu answered simply with 4 words. 4 words that explained everything. Anyway, it involved the array, and others wouldn't understand it. Whatever he said, that's what others could only hear. Blue Demon nodded gently. "You certainly gave me an answer I can't delve deeply into. All right, tell me the most crucial part. Where is this thing now?" The wing blade, how sensitive. It was a fact that Lin Zaiasu brought back a wing blade, and nine-headed snake naturally assumed the wing blade had ended up with Qianlong. But Qianlong was equally baffled. I didn't receive it. Lin Zaiasu sighed. It fell into the taping ocean. Blue Demon's eyes widened. You're talking nonsense right to my face. Zhao Zhen said you all landed safely. We landed safely, but the wing blade wasn't so fortunate. It slipped into the ocean and couldn't be found, truly. Lin Zaiasu blinked. Blue Demon glared at him fiercely. You're just saying you've hidden it, planning to keep it for yourself, so what's wrong with that? Why play this game with me? I can say that in front of you, but don't you have to report to the old man? Saying the wing blade is lost and can't be found is more appropriate. Oh no, more dignified. Blue Demon was speechless. Dignity indeed, that's your kind of dignity. If you were Qianlong, this act of privately keeping a trophy would be enough to get you into the Qianlong court. But I am not Qianlong. Blue Demon slapped her forehead, and there was silence for a long time. If he were Qianlong, the trophy would have to be handed over. But he was Qianlong, so the trophies he acquired in a foreign country, on what grounds does Qianlong insist he must surrender them? Of course, he could be asked to hand it over out of righteousness. However, if he was willing to hand it over, he would have done so long ago, and it wouldn't be her place to urge him. All right then, that's how it is at this stage, Blue Demon said helplessly. Once you've had enough of playing, name your price and I'll buy it. Sister, it really is lost. It's at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. Lin Zaiasu looked innocent. Blue Demon rolled her eyes. Do you still want to hear the truth about the next information? I do. Blue Demon said. The six-eared left holder showed up again, sending out a batch of information, and the volume of this information is unprecedented. Lin Zaiasu's eyes lit up. What information? Blue Demon spoke. In over a month's time, he sent out 7 batches of information. All of them were names. The first batch had 8 people, the second batch had 21, and the third batch was the largest, with 93 people. A total of 396 names were sent. These people were not simple. Almost all were mid to high-level members of the nine-headed snake Daxia district. When 396 people were caught, they revealed even more subordinates, and the entire structure of the nine-headed snake Daxia district had almost collapsed. Lin Zaiasu felt his heart racing, so sensational. Who'd have thought, right? Miao Yin and I have also discussed privately, and suddenly there's this feeling, did all the sacrifices we made through the years mean anything? Why is it that within just 2 years, you two almost surpassed the total of all our previous achievements? She was talking about you two. She referred to, one was Lin Zaiasu, and the second was that 6-eared left holder. Lin Zaiasu's achievements were visible to all. And that 6-eared left holder, who only appeared for the first time this May, immediately exposing the general leader of nine-headed snake, Wang Zhang's, with a shocking revelation. This marked the beginning of the collapse of the nine-headed snake Daxia district. In the past month, the progress has been ultra-fast, with almost one piece of news every few days, each announcement achieving results equivalent to several years of Qianlong's efforts. 7 pieces of information, virtually brought down nine-headed snake. List the exact time each message was sent for me, Lin Zaiasu said. The projection on the flying car's glass floated up, revealing 7 emails. The sending times were clearly displayed. Lin Zaiasu stared at the first email, his eyes glowing subtly. This email he was very familiar with. It was on the day he returned from the Middle East, in Bai Shan residence, Lin Weiyang's study, the one he saw via time-space reversal. The names of those 8 people were precisely the same. He indeed was the 6-eared left holder. He was fulfilling what he said. By March 3rd next year, nine-headed snake must be terminated. He had already taken action. Under the pressing situation, his progress was unprecedented. Are you very interested in this mysterious 6-eared left holder? Blue Demon asked. Chapter 473, Chapter 473, 4 Nirvana on Nirvana Island. At this stage he's an ally. Even if there's interest, there's no need to pursue it. Lin Zaiasu said, is there anything else? There's another thing, quite explosive, also exposed by him, Blue Demon said. There are 2 islands. Islands? One island is called Tongshan Island, and the other is Nirvana Island, Blue Demon said. Both islands are breeding grounds for nine-headed snake's backup forces. Breeding grounds is a very cruel term. The reality is even crueler. People from the nine-headed snake are searching all over Daxia for promising prospects, sending them to the islands for genetic transformation. Once raised, they are used as backup forces for the nine-headed snake. Tangshan Island is a place for cultivating assassins, specifically for the nine-headed snake. The cultivation rules inside are extremely brutal, similar to raising poisonous insects. In the first phase, you'll know how utterly inhumane they are. They lock 10 genetically transformed people in a cage, allowing only one to walk out. This means that every child who successfully passes the first phase has blood on their hands, the life of at least one companion, possibly 9. This is just the first phase. In every subsequent phase, people will die. Less than 1% of those who initially arrive on the island can successfully break through to become elite assassins for the nine-headed snake. Preliminary statistics show that over the past decade, more than 10,000 children have been taken to the island. From them, hundreds of elite assassins have been cultivated. These people crawled out from piles of corpses, their mindset completely twisted, having no sense of right and wrong or morality, using any means necessary for slaughter. Who would have thought they started as innocent children? Damn it, they deserve to die. Lin Zaiasu exhaled softly. Has this damned Tangshan Island been taken down already? Once discovered, how could it be left standing? We dismantled it immediately, and we've caught all we could from that chain of crime. Even those who fled abroad are being hunted, Blue Demon said. But that's not our main focus. We need to focus on the second island. Blue Demon's voice carried a hint of mystery. Lin Zaiasu furrowed his brow. Nirvana Island. What does this name make you think of? Lin Zaiasu said, Nirvana, the Nirvana. Exactly, Blue Demon said. We've analyzed the Nirvana before, and we've also predicted that the appearance of the Nirvana for the mortal world opened a Pandora's box. Someone would surely stop at nothing to cultivate the Nirvana. Now it has been proven true. In fact, a long time ago, the nine-headed snake had already taken this step. In the underground facilities of one such island in our maritime territory, the game of Nirvana has been ongoing. The basic concept of Nirvana is to excavate anomalies in the bloodline under extreme pressure. Normally, even if the bloodline carries the legacy of the ancient Wan clan, it has become diluted over generations, fading into the masses, and most people can't awaken this bloodline in their lifetime. However, the modern era is the gene era. Genes injected into the human body have stimulated the bloodline to an extreme degree. Bloodline, a naturally existing thing within life forms, has, for the first time, encountered strong external interference. What kind of consequences will this bring? Some can't handle the stimulation and die on the operating table. Others undergo bloodline transformation, becoming genetic people. Even for those who successfully become genetic people, they must regularly take anti-rejection medication to ensure effective bodily functions. This is a common method in all genetic transformations. However, this is not the case on Nirvana Island. They adopt extreme pressure methods. What is extreme pressure? First, perform genetic transformation, then completely forgo anti-rejection medications, and even break genetic transformation laws by using various mutually interfering alien genes on the same life form. In this manner, humans purely become test subjects. Failure is, of course, inevitable. They don't care about failure. 1,000 people, 10,000 people. These beasts find it meaningless. They aim to expand their base until creating a miracle. No one can count the number of experimental failures on Nirvana Island. But there are records of success. Blue Demon raised his hand, and 4 names appeared on the screen, with no pictures as they could not find image information, only textual information, which is top secret on the island. Below are related documents: birthplace, approximate birth date kidnapped to the island, date of becoming a Nirvana. They were formed amidst the loss of countless compatriots, embodying that survivorship bias. The first name, Beifeng, with a killing move, Wind Blade, air can turn into a weapon in his hands, killing without shadow or form. The second name, Ice Blade, birthplace somewhere in southern Tibet, killing move, drip water into ice. The third name, Qing Yan, a woman possessing a death magic that kills any creature she approaches mysteriously. The fourth name, Gushi, can shed skin like a snake, advancing in cultivation with each shedding, leveling up once a year. Lin Zaiasu stared at the description below this name. Zaihe Province, Liding County, Dayacheng Town, Sanleping Village. Could it be such a coincidence? On southern border Witch God Mountain, he once met that person who died. She has a younger brother. She has spent her life searching for her brother. She is from Sanluping village in Dayacheng Town, Lidang County, Zaihe Province. This solitary snake is he her brother. Blue Demon looked over following his gaze. Are you shaken by his miraculous path of upgrading? Lin Zaiasu let out a soft breath. Yeah, I'm not afraid of a nirvana. I'm afraid they keep nirvanaing endlessly. I'm presenting these things to you because I want to tell you that the situation we are facing is very unfavorable, Blue Demon said. Yes, originally we thought the 9-headed snake had only the 8 heavenly kings, but now it seems, how can it be only the 8 heavenly kings? They also have a large number of nirvana. One nirvana island had 4 nirvana appear, and no one knows how many there are on the overseas nirvana islands. Blue Demon said, we'd better anticipate that they definitely have a 2-digit number of nirvana at their disposal, hopefully not 3 digits. Lin Zaiasu exhaled softly, is there anything else? These explosive news are enough to keep you digesting for a while, Blue Demon said. I don't want too much explosive news to dilute your unparalleled heroic spirit. Unparalleled heroic spirit. What unparalleled heroic spirit do I have? My dream has always been a wife, children, and a warm bed, a typical petty citizen mentality. Blue Demon glanced at him. Wife, children, warm bed. Isn't that itself filled with heroic spirit? Think about it, you have so many wives. If each wife had her own bed, how many houses would you have to buy? Modern men struggle to buy one house, and you're talking about buying several buildings. Lin Zaiasu put his hand on his forehead. Senior sister, you just said you allow me to cheat dozens of times. It's because I allow it that I sympathize with you. If I didn't, then what's left to say? Blue Demon's voice suddenly stopped. Her eyes and dragon eye pupils contracted. Her face suddenly changed. What happened? Lin Zaiasu raised his gaze, the previously playful expression no longer on his face. Blood Trace is in trouble. What? Lin Zaiasu was shocked. He's trapped in Luoba State. Do we have an exact location? Yes, Alpine Mountains, Blue Demon said. There are signs that he is already seriously injured. The old man has issued the Heavenly King's expedition order to go to Luoba State to rescue Blood Trace. I'll take it, Lin Zaiasu said. I'll go with you. Good, Blue Demon pointed a finger downwards. Accepted the Heavenly King's expedition order. The flying car soared through the air, leaving Tashan straight to Jiangcheng. These are the related battle reports transmitted over. We will arrive at Jiangcheng Airport in 20 minutes. Read them carefully, Blue Demon said. The flying car's screen projected the related battle reports. Lin Zaiasu skimmed through at 10 lines a glance. Blood Trace King went to Luoba State to pursue Beifeng. Beifeng, who just appeared in the information, is the Nirvana that successfully Nirvana'd on Nirvana Island. When Nirvana Island's trump card was unveiled, he happened to be presiding over Nirvana Island. Qianlong had a bloody battle with him, and even after making enough preparations, still lost 7 people to him. Infuriated, Blood Trace pursued. Beifeng took a step ahead, returned to Luoba State, and Blood Trace pursued across borders, also entering Luoba State. After entering Luoba State, he followed Beifeng's trail, killed more than a dozen people, and eventually had a decisive battle with Beifeng under the Alpine Mountains, where both were injured. The enemy's large forces encircled him, and Blood Trace broke through into the mountainous area. The enemy surrounded on all sides, and Qianlong's inside line in Luoba State launched 4 rescue operations, all failing. The first action. The second action. The plans of the 4 actions and combat losses all came out, and Qianlong's inside line lost 13 people, with one inside line stronghold exposed and completely wiped out by the enemy. Lin Zaiasu's gaze quickly slid over all the information. Focused on a map. This map showed the enemy's military distribution in the mountains. There are 7 such maps, the only valuable thing sent back by the inside line. Something's wrong, Lin Zaiasu uttered 3 words. What? Lin Zaiasu said, 7 maps and the military positioning hasn't changed at all in 3 days. They are baiting the rescuer. Baiting the rescuer, Blue Demon's heart jumped. Yes, the enemy's target is not Blood Trace, but the rescue personnel. Blue Demon shook all over. Our inside line is planning the 5th rescue operation. Tell them to cancel immediately, Lin Zaiasu said. Leave it to us. Okay. Blue Demon issued a command to terminate the rescue operation tonight. The flying car had already reached Zhengcheng. Final question, how do we enter Luoba State? Blue Demon asked. Me, using my real name, go straight in, Lin Ziasu said. As for you, just create an identity and deceive them. Blue Demon shook all over. You and I can have 100 identities to enter Luoba State, but you choose to use your real name to go straight in. Lin Ziasu said. Entering with disguise has its benefits, but entering with a real name also has its benefits. At the very least, we can attract some people and share the burden on blood trace in the first stage. You don't need to convince me, you only need to be certain, Blue Demon said. If you're certain, we're certain. Certain. Chapter 474. Chapter 474. Night Visit from Foreign Police. On the boarding pass, Lin Ziasu was under the guise of Lin Ziasu's face and name. Blue Demon crafted a face that was delicately elegant and pretty, and a name that was poetically graceful. Her name was Ding Ryushui. Lin Ziasu looked at this familiar face and couldn't help but think of the night before his second trip to the Middle East, savoring the unique taste of someone who had opened the water secret realm at Ding's villa. He had some suspicion that Blue Demon had brought something private. What private thing? She was pondering the verification of his relationship with Ding Ryushui. If a man and a woman have been intimate, the way they look at each other is different. In this situation, it actually doesn't mean much. Because he said, you can assume any identity, it's all just covering your ears while stealing a bell. This journey to Luoba State. What kind of place is Luoba State? The headquarters of Nine-Headed Snake. Nine-Headed Snake's people are highly sensitive to him. As long as his name appears on the list of departing passengers, it will certainly be reported back to headquarters immediately. Correspondingly, whoever is with him is just a process of continuous verification. Blue Demon chose Miao Ruolan. The enemies would check if Miao Ruolan is currently in Fengcheng. Blue Demon chose Ding Ryushui. The enemies would check if Ding Ryushui is in Jiangcheng. Upon checking now, Ding Ryushui is in Jiangcheng. So the result is basically clear. The one by his side is most likely Blue Demon. That's what's called covering your ears while stealing a bell. I know I can't hide from you. I'm too lazy to hide from you. What cards do you have? Show them. Their destination here, Jingnai City. Jingnai City, a famous tourist city below the Alpine Mountains. Ruili country. A very coincidental fact is, Ding Ryushui once studied painting at the Ruili Royal Academy. She didn't graduate theoretically, she's still in her academic continuation period. The two boarded the plane, flying towards distant Jingnai. Luoba State, an ancient manor. Light fog lingered, especially beside the pool. No one knew if it was the warm water of the pool and the cold air outside that formed this layer of fog, or if wherever the Fog Heavenly King went, fog arose 3 feet off the ground. The Fog Heavenly King lay by the pool in a 3-piece suit. Beside her, a formally dressed middle-aged man reported without distraction. The Fog Heavenly King's body slowly propped up, her infinitely beautiful face slightly frowned. Using his real name again, this kid is getting more and more reckless. Isn't that so? The brothers were all enraged when they saw this news. The Iron Blood Heavenly King smacked the table, wanting to rush to the airport and twist this kid's head off. The middle-aged man said, "Don't be reckless." The Fog Heavenly King gently raised her hand. In modern society, we play by the rules, though there are devious methods and conventional ways. Neither suits the airport for action. The middle-aged man slightly nodded. He understood. Even if Lin Ziasu became a mortal enemy with Nine-Headed Snake, even if he ranks second on Nine-Headed Snake's death list, his evidence is not presentable. Using conventional means to capture him lacks reason. Particularly in circumstances like the airport, losing procedures in every move can easily put oneself at a disadvantage. Of course, in Luoba State, the recognized power on the surface can practically be considered Nine-Headed Snake's power, completely capable of fabricating evidence, using recognized power to first detain him. But this kind of detention is powerless against someone like him. No prison in the world can hold him. It would only give Daxia country a reason to involve its national strength. Daxia is not a soft persimmon. Drawing informal forces can be quite troublesome. Thus, employing recognized power to do something trivial, lengthy, and self-destructive isn't a strategical choice for Nine-Headed Snake's think tanks. They can only choose a more devious method to kill him directly. The person with him you said is Ding Ryushui, the Fog Heavenly King asked. The list says Ding Ryushui, but in reality it's not, the middle-aged man said, because Ding Ryushui is still in Jiangcheng at the moment. Blue Demon, the Fog Heavenly King's eyes narrowed slightly. There's a 90% chance it's Blue Demon. Deployed under his real name with Blue Demon doing the same blandly, the Fog Heavenly King faintly smiled. This kid's first phase of the plan obviously doesn't want to think. The focus must be on the second phase, intending to save Blood Trace. Well, I'll directly confront him and play around. Lin Zaiasu and Blue Demon got off the plane and exited the airport. Blue Demon cast her gaze towards the surrounding crowd, towards the airport guards. A strand of Lin Zaiasu's voice entered her ears. Don't worry, they won't use baseless charges or conventional power to take us down. Why? Blue Demon's voice sounded a bit odd, but this strand of voice accurately transmitted into Lin Zaiasu's ear, somewhat hinting at secret transmission. Lin Zaiasu was a bit surprised. You're also trying to attempt secret transmission. Blue Demon said, you know this skill, Miao Yin does too. I wanted to try it. After all, I can control all my muscle tissues at will, and theoretically I can change the sound Dao. All muscle tissues at will, and able to change the sound Dao. Just say the voice path. Otherwise it's easy to misunderstand. Lin Zaiasu said, technology and ancient martial arts are really intertwined. You've already started to grasp it. Senior sister, you're a genius. Blue Demon felt quite pleased with the praise. Then I'll practice more. So, why won't they do this? Previously, fabricating charges against our exposed members was common. That's different, Lin Zaiasu said. Those members have hopes of acquiring more intelligence from them. As for us, their designated goal is summed up in one word, kill. Since the ultimate goal is kill, why waste police resources, cause a sensation, thus involving Daxia country's national power and create a significant obstacle to their kill against us? Blue Demon looked up at the sky and accepted his explanation. Non-orthodox power cannot be used by them. It's not that they don't know how useful orthodox power is. But the goals are different, and the strategies must also be different. The position those people have set for him and themselves is just one word, kill. Since it's killing, then stealth comes first. So, Blue Demon said, so, from the next step the only word in our dictionary is this one, right? Right? Neither side harbors illusions, does not embrace fantasies, there's only killing and counter-killing. Lin Zaiasu said, however, even killing has its subtleties. I think the only consideration for them currently is the choice of location. Blue Demon nodded lightly. At least, the city is not a suitable location. Exactly, so theoretically tonight is very safe. You don't plan to go up the mountain overnight. No rush, Lin Zaiasu said. The enemy's plan is to encircle a point to fight reinforcement. As long as our reinforcements haven't fallen into their trap, their actions against Blood Trace won't be too ruthless. Blue Demon's heart raced. She seemed to finally understand the real utility of Lin Zaiasu, entering Luoba State under his original name. He saw through the enemy's tactic of encircling points to attack reinforcements. He positions himself as the reinforcement, presenting himself at the enemy's hand. However, he just won't step into the encirclement. As soon as he arrives, actions against Blood Trace must be put on hold. Otherwise, if you go too hard and Blood Trace is killed, what reason would Lin Zaiasu and she have to step into your encirclement? Wouldn't they just escape these two big fish? He uses his own value, his allure as the second ranking on the death list, to attract the enemy's firepower, indirectly easing the pressure on Blood Trace. Up ahead is the hotel. Everything appears peaceful at the moment. The two register to stay in the same room. No obstacles whatsoever. It's a tourist city, reflecting the enthusiasm of a tourist area. They arrived at a third-floor room, opened the window, and could see the exquisite street outside, resembling a lake of green waters in the spring river. The blue sky and white clouds seemed especially delicate. There's no surveillance in the room, Blue Demon said, but let's communicate through secret transmission, not just to cover all bases, but mainly for practice. All right. Blue Demon spoke a lot to him, based on the need for practice. It has to be admitted, her learning ability is incredibly strong. After saying a lot, her speech became more natural and accustomed. As the sun set, Blue Demon's face, resembling Ding Ryushui's, lifted up. I always feel Ding Ryushui is already on your infidelity list. I mean an actual infidelity, a real step out. Damn, real step out. Which leg are you talking about? Lin Zaiasu rubbed his forehead. Senior sister, you're getting a bit off topic here. Off topic is off topic, so what? Anyway, you'll eventually be unfaithful with more than 30, and I don't believe that Zio Ding wouldn't be among those 30. You weren't this tolerant before. Back then Chang Yu was almost no more. Who had time for these kinds of antics with you? Blue Demon glanced at him. It's different now. At least now I'm letting go of this unshakable sentiment towards you. The door suddenly knocked. Blue Demon's voice stopped abruptly. Her gaze lifted, her eyes already solemn. Lin Zaiasu stood up, approached the door and opened it. Outside the door were 3 police officers. Officer, is there something you need? Lin Zaiasu asked in English. The middle Caucasian man smiled slightly. Lin Zaiasu, Detective Lin from Daxia Country, is it? Yes. May we come in and have a word? The Caucasian officer was very polite. Blue Demon was slightly taken aback. From the moment she saw the police, she had a prediction that Lin Zaiasu's judgment was finally wrong this time. The other party would use the usual method she was familiar with, acting on a trumped-up charge against them. But this wasn't an act of aggression. Please come in, Lin Zaiasu smiled. The 3 police officers entered the room, closed the door, and 2 of them stood by the door, while the Caucasian officer took out his credentials. Davis, Advanced Police Supervisor from Jingna, Ruili Country. Not a low rank. Lin Zaiasu gave a quick glance. Mr. Davis, you can just say what's on your mind. Davis said, I am aware of Detective Lin's reputation in Daxia Country. I know you are excellent at tracking. Coincidentally, there's a very important case. I'm wondering if Detective Lin could lend a hand and have a go at it. Asking him to solve a case. Lin Zaiasu had a hint of surprise on his face. We're just here for sightseeing. Traveling can also include doing something within one's power on the side. If Detective Lin is willing to help, the Jingnai police will also provide significant assistance for your subsequent travel itinerary. Isn't that a wonderful thing? Lin Zaiasu's gaze slowly lifted. Tell me, what kind of case? Davis said, it's about a vicious criminal. This person has killed 17 people and has fled into the Alpine Mountains. Our people have gone into the mountains multiple times to apprehend him but have not succeeded. Detective Lin, please look, it's this individual. Chapter 475. Chapter 475, Ultimate Provocation. In the air is a projection. It's a scene of intense jungle battle. A person leaps down from a tree, like a flying eagle. With one slash, 2 people die miserably under the blade. Blue Demon's pupils constrict. She clearly sees that this person is Blood Trace. Blood Trace's combat remains as swift as wind, yet she also sees clearly that the injuries Blood Trace suffered are gravely serious. His movements are at least 3 times slower than usual. Davis said, this person is not alone. His comrades have been trying to rescue him. This shows that this group is the biggest local threat. If Mr. Lin is willing to assist, Jingnai City will give you the due honor and even submit a letter of thanks to your country's embassy, expressing gratitude for Mr. Lin's assistance. The image changes to a pile of corpses. These corpses are those of the rescuers, with close-ups of each face, dead in extremely horrific states. Among them is a woman, her eyes wide open, completely naked, her lower body a bloody mess. Blue Demon's heart burns like a mountain on fire. She recognizes this woman. Ren Yangyang, Qianlong's contact in the Luoba stronghold. Originally from a very wealthy family, she was utterly unwilling to be a rich heiress, plunging into the blood and fire battlefield, ending up like this. Is this woman also his accomplice? Lin Zaiasu points to Ren Yangyang. Yes, this woman named Ren Yangyang is from your Daxia, tormented to death by this villain in such a manner. As a Daxia citizen, I imagine Mr. Lin can't bear to see this either. Lin Zaiasu said, shouldn't his accomplices die at your hands? Davis said, how could that be? Everyone knows the law enforcement personnel in our country are civil. This woman entered the Alps mountain area intending to deliver supplies to this villain, but the villain went insane, torturing her to death. God, this is truly bottomless evil. Amen. Mr. Davis is right. People with bottomless evil must go to hell. Lin Zaiasu said, I am willing to help you this time. Davis smiled. Then Mr. Lin, have a good rest tonight. Shall I come pick you up tomorrow? All right. I also know Mr. Lin's involvement has a price. This is 50,000 Luo Yuan as Mr. Lin's case fee. Lin Zaiasu smiled. All right, pleasure working with you. Pleasure working with you. Davis extended his hand for a shake. A mutual understanding was reached with kindness and friendliness. 3 policemen left the room. Downstairs, the police car drove away. Blue Demon quietly watched the police car leave, her hair gently swaying in the wind. Lin Zaiasu gently extended his hand, patting her on the shoulder. Blue Demon slowly turned around, gently exhaling. This is war. 4 words flowed into Blue Demon's ears. She gently nodded. A faint voice echoed back. I know. They aim to stir our anger, causing us to lose reason and plunge into their set battlefield. The Alpine Mountains is the battlefield they set. The city is inconvenient for them to take action, so they set the battlefield in the mountains. Lin Zaiasu entered Jingnai City unhurriedly. They are anxious, wanting to send them into this battlefield. They're worried they won't go, so they show blood traces projection, presenting the Qianlong inside line corpses who have died at their hands in the most insulting scene. The real purpose is only one: stir their anger and send them to the slaughterhouse. So, our anger isn't for losing our head now, but it's for saving it for the battlefield, letting them feel the raging waves. Blue Demon said, from this moment on, we need to leap out of their chessboard, transform into Shadowless, first clear the perimeter around the hotel. She naturally knows by now their people are around the hotel. Become invisible, launch a stunning slaughter, also to alleviate the pressure for blood trace. This is the field the Qianlong transformation kings excel in. She believes Lin Zaiasu is also adept. No, Lin Zaiasu said, we jump into their trap. Blue Demon's heart skips, really jump. Don't forget, our primary goal is to rescue Blood Trace. There's a reasonable, legitimate way to get close to him, why not? This is their set battlefield. It's reasonable to believe they already have a foolproof assurance. Nothing is foolproof, Lin Zaiasu said. Use their strategy against them, targeting their supposed infallibility. I agree your theory is right, but never underestimate their power. After all, we're in Luoba state. Underestimation is a great enemy to Boo. Lin Zaiasu's eyes slowly lift with a mysterious glow. However, not only must we not underestimate them, they cannot underestimate us either. You must tell me where your trump card lies, otherwise I can't go insane with you, Blue Demon said. Indeed, Blue Demon, when opposing him together, nearly always follows his advice. However, things aren't absolute. After all, she is a Qianlong king. She has her own combat principles, and absolutely cannot blindly follow anyone, even Lin Zaiasu. Lin Zaiasu's voice threads into her ears. Blue Demon's eyes suddenly widen. So, senior sister, our hardest task has never been to save someone. The hardest task is to find him, Lin Zaiasu said. Once he's found, no matter how meticulous, I can tear him an opening. Blue Demon slowly closes her eyes. Tomorrow's action, listen to you. Speak of another matter. Speak. Is there a problem with this money? Lin Zaiasu smiled. That's the biggest advantage of going out with my senior sister. If it were Zhao Zhen the spendthrift, he might not even think that money could be problematic. Just because he squanders like there's no tomorrow and would never think that 50,000 luo yuan is a large sum. He lightly lifted his hand and picked out a note from a stack of bills, handing it to Blue Demon. Blue Demon took the 100 luo yuan bill and carefully examined it. On her face was a look of uncertain surprise. Without using specialized equipment, I can't see where the problem is. There's a micro-tracker in the ink, Lin Zaiasu said. Blue Demon exhaled lightly. Only now did she truly understand the entirety of Davis's intentions for tonight's visit. Firstly, he revealed a card, allowing them to see the blood trace was within their encirclement. Secondly, he used the gruesome state of over 10 corpses to stir their anger. Thirdly, he created an opportunity to give him a stack of cash. This cash contained a tracker. Even she, the Qianlong king, couldn't detect the tracker in the cash, so who among the ordinary could spot it? As long as they can't detect it at this stage, the stack of cash can pinpoint them in the vast sea of people. Unless they're willing to discard these 50,000 luo yuan. But in reality, who would be willing? 50,000 luo yuan, converted to Dazia currency, is close to 500,000. In the ancient manner, the Fog Heavenly King savored the red wine, which mirrored her flaming red lips, seemingly frozen in contemplation. The middle-aged man beside her slightly bowed. Does the Heavenly King believe he's too cunning to agree? It's not strange to agree if he actually goes, that be strange, said the Fog Heavenly King. Strengthening surveillance on the perimeter. As soon as they separate, we can act. Capturing any one of them is a great victory. Does the Heavenly King predict that they'll definitely act tonight and separate? The Fog Heavenly King smiled faintly. Today, Davis has already sent them a strong signal. Unless they have the slightest combat instinct, they will transform into invisible people overnight. The middle-aged man said, if they truly plan on becoming invisible, why didn't they start by becoming invisible upon entering? The Fog Heavenly King laughed. Becoming invisible initially, how would they mobilize the headquarters forces? How would they relieve Blood Trace's pressure? Not hiding initially was to draw our forces. Hiding tonight facilitates their actions. This is called strategy. However, most of the night passed. The tracker showed that the stack of cash never moved a place. The remote monitoring reported that the two hadn't stepped outside the room. The people on the perimeter were completely befuddled. Normally imposing precision, the Fog Heavenly King made an incorrect judgment. He had no intention of moving. The next morning, Davis's people knocked on the room door and saw a spirited Lin Zaiasu and his girlfriend step out, leaving those who waited all night on the outskirts in a complete dead end. Was he really planning to enter the death circle? This trap was so obvious. Even a reckless youth might not be able to hide it, yet Lin Zaiasu, who orchestrated wise and cunning maneuvers that greatly damaged the nine-headed snake, couldn't see it. Is that possible? In the ancient manner, the Fog Heavenly King gently rubbed her eyes. If he really enters the death circle, then it corroborates another possibility, the only possibility. The middle-aged man beneath her raised his gaze. The Heavenly King's meaning is, he's prepared to use that thing. In the art of combat, one must be good at switching perspectives. In a foreign country with strict perimeter defenses, only that method is most effective. The Fog Heavenly King said, make preparations. Understood, the middle-aged man said. I will have them activate the devices immediately. No, not at this moment, said the Fog Heavenly King. Wait until he enters the death circle before activating them. Otherwise, if he knows his backup plan has been cracked by me, he won't dare enter the death circle. The middle-aged man was convinced. The Heavenly King's strategy is truly meticulous. I'm impressed. I haven't seriously dealt with someone in a long time. The Fog Heavenly King raised her red wine. May he be worth it. This glass of wine was raised high toward the northeast. Northeast of the ancient manor. On the lakeside highway, Lin Zaiasu and Blue Demon sat in a police car, speeding northward. Northward is the Alpine Mountains. Lin Zaiasu had no sense of adventure. He was very relaxed, pointing out along the way. The scenery here is nice. Darling, when we come back, how about staying there overnight? Sure, hubby, Blue Demon said. The word hubby rolled off her tongue. Lin Zaiasu smiled. In front, Davis also smiled. They arrived at the destination. It was a valley south of the Alpine Mountains. Davis introduced the place to Lin Zaiasu. This was where the bloodthirsty criminal entered the mountain. Lin Zaiasu nodded and initiated time-space reversal. Soon, he captured the blood trace. It was the night 3 days ago. A great battle unfolded here. Blood Trace battled another person. This person moved with incredible speed, not only fast but with the primary trait of being elusive. Seemingly advancing forward, the landing suddenly shifted, completely defying physical conventions like the wind. He struck a blow, shadowless and invisible. As Blood Trace dodged, the tree in front got caught in the wind and turned to powder. Chapter 476. Chapter 476. Wing Blade Assault. Blood Trace vanished. After a fierce struggle, Blood Trace's blade merged into one, leaving a wound on the man's back. And with a wave of the man's right hand, Blood Trace's forehead gained another new injury, blood spilling out as 7 or 8 people encircled him. Blood Trace shot into the sky and headed towards the forest behind him. This was the scene of a bloody battle between Blood Trace and Beafeng, leaving both severely wounded. Lin Zaiasu followed the direction he left and walked briskly. Behind him, Davis followed, along with 8 other policemen. These 8 policemen, Blue Demon kept observing them. Her heartbeat gradually accelerated. They absolutely cannot be policemen. They are definitely masters. What level of masters? At least awakeners, and possibly even Nirvana. Nirvana, in terms of status, are of course far inferior to heavenly kings, but what they lack is only experience and intelligence, not combat strength. In terms of combat alone, they are not beneath a heavenly king. These experts are unlikely to be prepared for blood trace. They are theoretically prepared for herself and Lin Zaiasu. Should she give him a hint? She thought about it and decided against it. Her secret transmission was after all only entry level and might not be able to deceive super experts so close by. He is as keen as a rabbit, 10 times more perceptive than herself, with no reason not to notice. Of course, Lin Zaiasu had already noticed. His sensing power was far beyond Blue Demon's. He clearly understood that among the 9 people following them, 8 were Awaken-level genetic people, including Davis himself. And one more person, with a horse face, seemingly inconspicuous, positioned only in the middle of the group. But his aura was extraordinary, exuding ancient mystery. This person must be a Nirvana. A team, 9 people, 1 Nirvana, 8 Awakeners. It's enough to deal with anyone in the world. But is this all the cards they hold today? Lin Zaiasu did not believe this. It must be known, under Lin Zaiasu's hand, there had died 2 heavenly kings. He had also once taken the wing blade. Just with these 2 feats, he should not be underestimated by the 9-headed snake headquarters. You think with 1 Nirvana and 8 Awakeners you can take me down with Blue Demon, or even with Blood Traces, 3 Heavenly Kings combination. There may be a great chance to defeat us, but to kill us, there will be significant variables. 9-headed snake, facing such a good opportunity, facing perhaps only a single opportunity, absolutely should not underestimate. Then what other cards do they have? Lin Zaiasu's thoughts moved. Heavenly Tao Primordial Spirit enveloped a person. Blade, gun, grenade, field equipment, 1 pill. The second person, blade, gun, grenade, equipment, pill. All 9 people within a moment all detected. His Heavenly Tao Primordial Spirit, as it improved with subdivine skill, increased greatly in power, allowing for searching a person without touching, observing internally through clothes. The results of the detection came out. Blade, gun, grenade, equipment, pill were all consistent. It's as if the equipment was issued at the same time, used jointly for the first time generally. Perhaps it's not analogous, but it just is. Suddenly, his heart skipped a beat. Pill? As for field operations, medication is a necessity, but why is the medication similar to cold medicine? No packaging at all. Field operations, unavoidable sweat, rain, blood on the body, things like medication should absolutely not be without packaging. Unless this pill is disposable, issued for a specific temporary mission. Lin Zaiasu straightened up. Behind him, Davis stepped forward. Mr. Lin, have you confirmed the route? Confirmed, follow me. Lin Zaiasu walked forward briskly. His tracking process seemed almost like child's play, moving swiftly through the forest. Davis and one person in the team exchanged glances, seeing a sort of confusion in each other's eyes. Soon, on a second glance, they caught the shock in the other's eyes. Because after Lin Zaiasu had been traveling through the dense forest for an hour, they saw a drop of blood on a leaf. The blood tested positive for blood traces genes. What does this indicate? It indicates that, regardless of how untrustworthy his tracking process seemed, he was still on the correct path. 2 hours later, there were no human traces visible in the forest anymore, but Lin Zaiasu walked lightly, deeper into the forest. On the leaves, he pointed out, there continued to be bloodstains. If this was only tracking, if this was just solving the case, they should bow down in admiration, but this was not. This was a carefully planned slaughter. As the freshness of the blood increased, they were getting closer to blood trace. Successfully tracking blood trace would mean a showdown. The blood on Davis's body was a little boiling. He couldn't wait to see Lin Zaiasu's expression at the showdown. Lin Zaiasu entered a tracking state, seemingly completely ignoring where he was. He didn't look at anyone's expression. He always focused on this path. 2.5 hours passed. They had already entered deep into the jungle. 3 hours passed. Even the mountaintop was no longer visible. At noon, they stopped and had lunch. In the afternoon, they continued. The sunset gradually faded into the west. Finally, when the sunset sank behind the mountaintop, Lin Zaiasu stopped. The surroundings were as quiet as night. It seemed like human breathing could be heard. Meters ahead of them, there was a cave. Inside the cave, a person leaned against the wall with water seeping down the wall, making his back cold. He was Blood Trace. After being in this forest for 3 days and nights, theoretically, his wounds should have healed, but the wounds were not healed and continued to bleed. Why did this happen? Only because of one point. He not only was injured but also poisoned. Wounds are easy to heal. Poison is difficult to cure. This toxin with the bullet shot into his left shoulder had been forced out by his true chi. But the poison spread throughout his body, destroying his clotting ability, destroying his immune system, even to the extent his true chi was fragmented. According to Qianlong's principle of engaging enemies in prolonged operations, cherish every minute. Whenever there's a spare moment, one should sleep, even if it's for 5 minutes. It helps in regaining physical strength effectively. However, this set of principles had lost its efficacy. Bloodtrace dared not sleep at all. Not even for a moment. Because he knew his physical condition. As soon as he fell asleep, the true chi he was forcefully operating would relax. Once the true chi relaxed, the toxins would seep into his internal organs. By the time he woke up, he might not even have the strength to stand. So he pressed his back against the cold stone wall, using this physical sensation to keep himself awake. Despite the extreme adversity, the once world-shaking Heavenly King still refused to accept fate's arrangements. He wanted to climb over this mountain and forcibly break through on the other side. Once he broke through the enemy's encirclement, he could contact the Qianlong outpost. Taking one last look at the satellite positioning device, Bloodtrace's heart suddenly trembled. No signal. There was a signal just a few hours ago. Now it's gone. Why? At this moment he was the escaped, the enemy the pursuers. Jamming the signal would only deprive the pursuers of real-time communication, which is not conducive to tracking. Therefore, signal jamming should not be the enemy's option. If he, Bloodtrace, had the ability to jam signals in a foreign country, it should be his own choice. This situation is strange. Just as this thought surged in Bloodtrace's mind, he suddenly sensed movement outside. His entire body shook. They are here. The final moment had finally arrived. However, at this moment, a strand of sound, as if turning 100 times, accurately penetrated his ear. Don't worry, I'm here. Bloodtrace's heart seemed to stop beating suddenly. Lin Zaiasu. It was actually him. He had crossed thousands of kilometers to Luoba State, using peerless tracking techniques to find him. Listen to me. Lin Zaiasu's words drilled into his ears, and Bloodtrace suddenly stood up. Outside, night had already fallen. Everyone's eyes were shining brightly. They seemed to have a premonition that the target was near at hand. Davis said, Mr. Lin, did you discover something? Lin Zaiasu smiled slightly. Your commission is finally complete. Davis's whole body shook. Where is he? There. Lin Zaiasu pointed toward the cave. Two shadows leapt up simultaneously, as ghostly as they were charming. In terms of movement technique alone, they were on par with Blue Demon at this moment. These were 2 of the 8 policemen. The remaining 6 surrounded Lin Zaiasu and Blue Demon. One of them appeared to be watching the direction of the cave, but in fact, those skilled in the art of combat knew that the person he focused on was always Lin Zaiasu. This man was the Nirvana. Davis was also watching Lin Zaiasu. His eyes showed excitement and thrill. Suddenly, his gaze rose abruptly. In the sky, a shadow flickered and arrived. The speed was so strange, the figure was so startling. Wing Blade, Davis's heart jumped. What was headquarters thinking? Suddenly deploying Wing Blade. Wouldn't this complicate things further? It's important to note that Lin Zaiasu's previous mission in Yingyu country originally had no chance of completion. Smith's deployment of Wing Blade directly facilitated the strange turning point of his mission at that time. Everything was under control today, yet headquarters suddenly deployed Wing Blade. Aren't they afraid of another complication? The crucial point is that it's completely unnecessary. The thought just turned in his mind for a moment, and Wing Blade swept through the astonished and excited gazes of several masters, shooting straight into the cave. The Awakener behind suddenly felt something strange behind him and turned back abruptly. As he turned, Wing Blade sliced through the air, accurately decapitating him. Everyone's minds went blank. As Jade. Wing Blade penetrated the cave. Not good, Davis shouted, block it. His command had just been issued when 6 shadows soared, though hasty and hesitant, still fully reflected the response of masters. However, inside the cave, Wing Blade emerged once again, reaching extreme speed. Among the 6 masters, the 2 in central position suddenly stabbed out with their knives, accurately hitting, yet Wing Blade remained impervious to blades and guns, sparks flying, directly breaking through the encirclement, piercing straight into the deep sky. In an instant, it was already 100 meters away from the ground. Everyone could see clearly. Wing Blade was carrying someone, none other than the Blood Trace King they had been tracking. Bang! A sound howled. Wing Blade broke through the sound barrier, soaring into the sky, disappearing without a trace instantly. Blue Demon suddenly grabbed Lin Zayasu's hand. Her cheeks suddenly flushed crimson. This is his trump card. She had been informed of it last night. Lin Zayasu had told her, in the dense forest, surrounded from all sides, the most effective plan is Wing Blade. As long as we find Blood Trace, we can deploy Wing Blade and take him out of the encirclement, accomplishing the first stage goal. There are only 4 Wing Blades in the whole world. Nine-Headed Snake has 2, Qianlong Headquarters has 1, and Lin Zayasu has 1. In principle, Lin Zayasu should have handed over this trophy to Qianlong. However, Lin Zayasu, who was never greedy, was greedy this time. He was willing to play tricks to keep Wing Blade. Blue Demon was helpless against him. And tonight, she finally understood why Lin Zayasu insisted on keeping Wing Blade, because Wing Blade was a secret weapon, the most effective divine artifact to tear open the opponent's defenses. Crossing borders, radars cannot detect. Once speed increased, it's hard for the naked eye to keep up high-altitude raids catching the opponent off guard. By the time the opponent reacted, it had already broken into the deep sky, and as long as Wing Blade reached the sky, there was no way to bring it down. Chapter 477, Chapter 477, that pill. Davis's mouth half open, stared blankly at the sky. In that ancient estate, Fog Heavenly King suddenly stood up, and the crystal tea table in front of her inexplicably shattered into pieces. On the front wall, the final image before the Wing Blade pierced through the air was left. The person Wing Blade held was the Blood Trace King. With a whoosh, the grand door of the hall opened, and a gust of cold wind blew in, accompanied by a few snowflakes. A silhouette appeared out of nowhere beside Fog Heavenly King. What happened? Fog Heavenly King's expression changed dramatically. I anticipated this step. I've already ordered 4 blocking stations to activate simultaneously, theoretically turning this area into a blind zone. The Wing Blade can't possibly pinpoint a location, so how could it execute a precise rescue? Lin Zayasu's maneuver was actually already anticipated by Fog Heavenly King. When Lin Zayasu broke through her initial prediction and didn't become invisible last night, but really set off with Davis and entered the death circle, all her assumptions pointed to one sole target, which was that Lin Zayasu intended to use the Wing Blade. Otherwise, he wouldn't dare to do this at all. Based on this, she devised a brilliant scheme of luring the enemy into the trap. Initially not blocking satellite signals, then activating 4 high-powered devices once Lin Zayasu and Blue Demon truly entered the death circle, blocking satellite signals and intensely interfering with all electronic devices. From the moment the signals were blocked, this area became a blind zone for satellites from any country, and naturally, a blind zone for the Wing Blade relying on remote control. Even if the Wing Blade arrived here silently, it couldn't be controlled in this satellite blind zone. Relying on inertia for a single strike might work, but the execution process couldn't be precise, and the Nine-Headed Snake even had a chance to counteract, seizing the opportunity to reclaim the lost Wing Blade. She anticipated it. She plotted what Lin Zayasu plotted. She successfully made a forecast. However, the final result jumped out of her prediction, which was, the Wing Blade wasn't affected by the satellite shielding, nor were its electronic components disrupted, executing the mission with precision. In the hall, the few people who rushed in were all dumbfounded. The middle-aged man who appeared beside Fog Heavenly King also frowned deeply. Unless the control method of the Wing Blade isn't modern technology at all, otherwise, this error could never happen. As long as it's modern technology, it can't escape remote signal control. As long as the Wing Blade still has electronic components, even with advanced AI, it would lose autonomy. However, this particular Wing Blade just managed to escape it. There's only one explanation. The control method of this Wing Blade jumped out of the framework of modern technology. This is the true reason why everything was within expectations, yet the result jumped out of expectations today. For a moment, the hall was plunged into deadly suffocation. Heavenly King, Davis is still waiting for instructions. Next, should we kill these 2? Kill, tear them to pieces, Fog Heavenly King said. In the forest, darkness and silence. It seemed that everyone was still immersed in the super shock of wing blade piercing through the air, rescuing blood trace. Davis's gaze slowly turned to Lin Zaiasu, his eyes ice cold at this moment. Lin Zaiasu also looked at him, his eyes seemingly smiling yet unsmiling. Davis took a deep breath. Mr. Lin, was this all you're planning? Lin Zaiasu's face showed surprise. Mr. Davis, could it be that your mind is somewhat unstable? I was accepting your commission to help the Jingnai police find criminal suspects. Clearly, I've completed the commission. Any sudden changes afterward aren't my concern. Davis spoke slowly. Does this wing blade have nothing to do with you? So this thing is the wing blade. Lin Zaiasu was a bit surprised. I've heard that the wing blade is the nine-headed snake's tool to balance the world. Boldly appearing, abducting key police figures, it seems that the nine-headed snake bunch are really lawless. This direct insult made everyone's nose twist in anger on the spot. Fog Heavenly King also felt her nose twist with anger through the synchronized equipment on Davis. Davis let out a long sigh. It doesn't matter now. As he leaned back, 7 shadows moved in unison. With a whoosh, they surrounded from all sides. Bang bang. Grenades exploded. The explosion of this grenade was completely different from an ordinary grenade, with no earth-shattering explosive power, but instead light smoke engulfed the area. In an instant, the entire forest within a radius of 1,000 meters was completely enveloped in light smoke. This smoke was so strange, appearing like fog, not dense, vision not obstructed. Yet as the night wind blew by, the smoke didn't move with it, seemingly bound by some magical force in the void. Davis's eyes in the light smoke, like wolf eyes, flashed with awe-inspiring light, and his face displayed an extremely sinister grin. Lin Zaiasu, you may have successfully rescued Blood Trace, but you and Blue Demon must stay. Kill. Whoosh. 7 masters charged violently. At their first step, each displayed their high-level skills, some like apes, some like wind, some like lightning. However, it was just a start. In the next moment, their movements suddenly distorted. Their previously harmonious and freely coordinated bodies seemed to be completely disrupted. PSSSH. A piercingly sharp sword light swept across the night sky, and 3 heads soared into the air. A blue light flashed, and another 3 heads soared into the air. The blue demon, stunning like a spirit, flashed past, a faint blue electric current on the dagger, directly aiming at the last person. The last person suddenly looked up. His hand flipped rapidly, transforming into a giant wolf claw. The blue demon's dagger accurately hit the wolf claw, and with a crack, shattered into pieces. Nirvana, the blue demon's figure rose, ever-changing and dazzling. The Nirvana's body suddenly enlarged, and the gigantic claw also turned into a phantom, enveloping all the void ahead. Not bad, a voice suddenly rang out. Bang! A small bottle struck the Nirvana's forehead and shattered. A strange fragrance pervaded, quite pleasant. However, the Nirvana let out a wild scream and clutched his head abruptly. His face was extremely pained. The howl was cut off halfway. The Nirvana fell headfirst, landing. With a swoosh, the blue demon landed from the air, staring in astonishment at the Nirvana on the ground. The Nirvana lay still, dead through and through. What's going on? In the faint mist, Davis clung tightly to a tree beside him, the tree quivering desperately, and his face was as pale as paper. In the ancient manner, the Fog Heavenly King and the middle-aged Heavenly King beside her also opened their eyes wide, watching everything through the synchronization device, incredibly surprised. Lin Zaiasu strolled over, a faint smile on his face. Davis hissed, "This, why?" "Haha," Lin Zaiasu laughed. "Creating a poison field that enveloped us indiscriminately, we are affected by the toxic fog, unable to exert normal combat strength, while you take the antidote, slaughtering us with full combat power, an exquisite asymmetrical tactic. However, Davis, whether it's you or the mastermind behind you, both overlooked one thing. I am a detective." "Detective?" In the manner the Fog Heavenly King whispered 2 words. In the synchronization equipment, Lin Zaiasu's face appeared much closer, as if staring through the equipment at her. "I noticed the unusual pill they were carrying early on, so I used my empty hand skill to swap their pill with my cold medicine. Do you understand now?" The Fog Heavenly King was dumbstruck. All 3 people in the hall were utterly dumbstruck. They had crafted the scheme with great finesse. In the jungle, the two forces were originally roughly equal, making it difficult for either side to reveal their trump cards. However, the Fog Heavenly King, being the strategist, had designed a dimensional reduction tactic in advance, which Lin Zaiasu referred to as asymmetrical tactics. That is, creating a poison field. Poison which the Fog Heavenly King used her ultimate poison, soul-destroying fog. Soul-destroying fog, annihilating under the fog. No matter how strong Lin Zaiasu's detoxification skills were, at best, he could hold out longer. Clearly his abilities would be greatly reduced, while the blue demon would fall at the first contact. Meanwhile, the Fog Heavenly King's side, taking the antidote, operated freely within the toxic fog. With 8 supreme combat strength obliterating Lin Zaiasu's half-disabled combat strength, how could there be any suspense? But who would have thought that the little pill they carried would catch his attention? And beyond that, Lin Zaiasu used his cold medicine for a swap. This antidote had been made to resemble the most common cold medicine shape, an ingenious trick by the Fog Heavenly King, yet at the critical moment, it became the fatal flaw that doomed all her subordinates. These subordinates lacked Lin Zaiasu's insight and completely missed the switcheroo of the antidote, consumed this utterly useless cold medicine, then went on to set up the poison field for combat. In such a manner, everything turned upside down. Lin Zaiasu and the blue demon consumed the antidote, becoming the forces in the poison field. While the others affected by the toxic fog lost all combat strength or suffered great damage, at the first contact, 6 were dead, including the super-expert Nirvana Wolf God, who could have matched Lin Zaiasu's true combat strength, died disgracefully. The brutal war took place in the distant Alpine Mountains. The result of the war was like a sharp knife, heavily thrust into the Fog Heavenly King's heart. Her usual demeanor of always having wise pearls in her hold completely changed. Her heart surged with heated blood, the signs of eruption coursing through her whole body. Puffing. A soft sound, the synchronization equipment shattered by Lin Zaiasu's leaf becoming a deconction. In the manner, everyone lost the live imagery. The middle-aged person beside the Fog Heavenly King was overwhelmed with icy coldness. The whole hall seemed like one step into an ice world. In the dark jungle, Lin Zaiasu slowly withdrew his finger from Davis's brow. A mysterious technique had just been performed. The technique, known to the Blue Demon, was divine control skill, belonging to the category of sub-divine secret technique. He had performed it over a month ago at Qianlong headquarters. Under this technique, anyone had to speak the truth. Davis said many things. Though he didn't have a high status and didn't know who the Heavenly Kings were, his status was not too low, and some names from his mouth still sent chills down her spine. Chapter 478. Chapter 478, Space Law Dimensional Strike. Lin Zaiasu flicked his finger, and Davis's head exploded. "Let's go get out of this poisonous area," said Blue Demon. Although they had taken the antidote, they didn't know how long its effects would last. They needed to leave this area immediately. Leaving the poisonous zone also means escaping the 9-headed snake headquarters, tracking. The two figures moved together, and in a moment they were 2 kilometers away. In front of them was still a vast jungle, but there was no more poisonous fog. "Even though you've revealed all your big plans, I still don't quite understand how you managed to switch things so quietly," said Blue Demon, who had resumed her original appearance. Her blue hair gently swayed under the faint starlight, creating an incredibly mysterious image. However, at this moment, she felt the truly mysterious person was her partner beside her. She was the Qianlong King, someone who rarely encountered things she couldn't comprehend in battle. But Lin Zaiasu confounded her. Throughout the journey, he was under the watchful eye of 8 or 9 pairs of eyes. Even when he went to the bathroom, he was being watched. Everyone kept a close watch on him. There was absolutely no tolerance for him getting even half a step closer. How had he managed to steal their antidote, and how had he placed his cold medicine in its original spot? It puzzled her deeply. It's no wonder she couldn't understand. Probably everyone in the world would be baffled. Because it was a law. The space law. Lin Zaiasu had made significant progress with the space law, allowing him to easily retrieve the antidote and deliver his cold medicine. It was done completely out of thin air. Not to mention them, even Enlightenment Realm experts facing the King of Laws known as Space's King would likely be oblivious. This was a dimensional drop. A true dimensional drop. Lin Zaiasu scratched his head. As a detective, it's all about petty theft and sneaking around. Blue Demon rolled her eyes at him. All right, you'd rather mock yourself than reveal your true skills. Suit yourself. That Nirvana guy, the cold medicine you used, was different, right? Yeah, it was a life soul goo the nine-headed snake used to disrupt Daxia. I had one on me, so I used it on him. I have to say, it works great. Blue Demon's heart surged with emotion, truly filled with countless thoughts. This operation from the start was almost an impossible mission. Blood Trace King was trapped in Luoba State. Luoba State was the base of the nine-headed snake. Blood Trace was already injured and trapped. If they wanted to quickly kill Blood Trace, it wouldn't have been too difficult. They didn't launch such a decisive attack. Their basic strategy was to siege and eliminate support. They wanted to use Blood Trace as bait to slowly weaken Qianlong's forces in Luoba State and even lure other kings from the Qianlong headquarters far in Daxia. What's this called? It's called the nine-headed snake digging a big pit, making Qianlong lose no matter how they responded. However, Lin Zaiasu came. A wing blade pierced the air, and Blood Trace escaped safely. An intricate series of calculations and counter-calculations centered around a pill, leading them step by step out of a seemingly certain death scenario, counterattacking 9 top experts. Here, combat power had no real effect. The real power was in those meticulous calculations. The brilliance of these calculations would make anyone who saw them exclaim, damn. Even the life soul goo on him was used effectively, precisely aimed at that Nirvana. That Nirvana must have died feeling very wronged. If he hadn't been hit by the life soul goo, even if poisoned, Blue Demon thought she probably still couldn't beat him. Thousands of thoughts flowed through her mind. Blue Demon raised her gaze. Next, are we going to perform a dual king's breakthrough through the defense line? There's still a defensive line outside. They were still within the encirclement. Blood Trace escaped. They were still there. But Blue Demon and Blood Trace had clearly different mindsets. She now had a belief in ultimate victory. Lin Zaiasu's gaze turned distant, with a familiar mystery in his eyes. Dual kings breakthrough through the defense line. How about adding one more? Adding one more. Blood Trace is still in the encirclement. Blue Demon's heart skipped a beat. Wing Blade pierced through, rescuing Blood Trace. At Wing Blade speed by now, with Blood Trace, they should already be flying back to the Daxia border. Could it be this guy doesn't take the usual path and Blood Trace is still here? Blood Trace's injuries are significant, so we can't count on him right now, said Lin Zaiasu. It's another person. Who? You've heard her voice, but I think you may not have seen her in person. Blue Demon's heart stirred. The one who told you tear at the end of the law. Yes, her name is Catherine. Blue Demon's eyes slowly widened. I've seen her file, and I don't think she's trustworthy even. She uttered this sentence using secret transmission, even though there was no one around, but considering the gravity of the matter, she switched to the sound dial, straining to transmit it secretly. Even what? Lin Zaiasu also used secret transmission. Even I think that, when she told you tear at the end of the law, it wasn't to help you, but with very frightening motives. Very frightening motives, Lin Zaiasu said. You mean she just wanted to cut off my cultivation road? Blue Demon said. From the Naren's family standpoint, she undoubtedly hopes you, this variable, won't progress too smoothly on the cultivation path. Catherine, a young lady of the Naren's family. The relationship between the Naren's family and the nine-headed snake has already gradually surfaced, and is definitely not ordinary. What kind of attitude would such a person have when facing Lin Zaiasu, who ranks second on the nine-headed snake's death list? They cannot directly deal with him, and are helpless against his endless cultivation miracles. If there was an opportunity presented to them, would they seize the chance to sever his path of cultivation? This perhaps is the real motive behind Catherine telling him about the tear at the end of the law. She calculated that as long as Lin Zaiasu knows this law, it would surely sever his forward path. If so, it's terrifying. However, she still couldn't understand why a shrewd person like Lin Zaiasu would so easily trust a lady from the Naren's family. Lin Zaiasu said, originally, I cannot tell anyone about this secret, but from now on, we will be comrades in arms. There shouldn't be too much caution between comrades, I'll tell you. Heaven knows, earth knows, you know, and I know. Blue Demon's heart was pounding. Tell me. Lin Zaiasu's voice slipped lightly into her ear, conveying an earth-shattering piece of news to her. Blue Demon's hair trembled fiercely in the wind. She felt her world view had deviated at that moment. Catherine was already dead. The person present is not Catherine. Her name is Saintess Kyan Ling, a heavenly pride from 10,000 years ago. She once fought for the human clan. She was sealed in a blood coffin, uncovered in Lao Mountain. She had made a transaction with him before and even provided over 30 names of 9-headed snake members in the Daxia district, leading to Xinyu's temporary first place in trial points. Precisely because she is not a person of the present era but a heavenly pride from 10,000 years ago, Lin Zaiasu turned to her when all other means failed. That's why she knows about the tear at the end of the law. This tear can save Chang Yi, not because of her ulterior motives as a member of the Naren's family, but because of her knowledge surpassing this era. A branch suddenly reached out from the tree beside them. A voice followed the trembling branch. "Is your introduction to this lady finished?" Blue Demon suddenly looked down, staring at the branch. "King Lanshan, there's no need for such hostility. My lady's feet are still stepping on a pile of machine debris, and I have gone through great trouble to solve 3 groups of dark reconnaissance machine wolves for you. You wouldn't want to fight me upon our meeting, right?" Lin Zaiasu laughed heartily. "Let's go." The two of them swiftly glided past, entering the dense forest ahead. In the dense forest, a glamorous blonde lady stood under a tree, with a pile of metal fragments before her. Her gaze lifted, sweeping past Blue Demon's face, landing on Lin Zaiasu's. "You said you would come to Luoba State within half a year, but you didn't say it would be in such a manner." Lin Zaiasu smiled. "You should know that from my perspective, such a method is quite normal." "Causing such a big commotion right from the start is normal," Saintess Kyan Ling pouted. "I've already set the route. Following this route gives the highest probability of breaking through." "Go." The 3 figures flashed and merged into the dense forest. Ahead, green lights suddenly ignited, countless green lights. Those were the machine wolves. Almost instantly, the forest seemed to light up with countless fireflies. Those were suicide drones. A soft buzz resounded. The wolf pack moved simultaneously. The suicide drones moved simultaneously. This is the outer defense, countless surveillance devices covering various monitoring principles: infrared, ultraviolet, heat, kinetic energy. No matter the method, no person can escape their surveillance. Can't escape, what to do? Break through with force. The sword rose in Lin Zaiasu's hand, heavy as a mountain. Boom! The 2 charging machine wolves were simultaneously sent flying, colliding with the suicide drones behind them, causing an earth-shattering explosion. The dead angle of the explosion's shockwave, he flashed past, with Blue Demon behind him. Meanwhile, Saintess Kyan Ling lightly pointed a finger, and the thickets suddenly moved with branches and leaves. A large swarm of suicide drones passed through the air, suddenly met with a sky full of branches. Boom, boom! Hundreds of explosions sounded. The forest turned into a sea of fire, yet the 3 had already passed through this forest. The machine wolves turned to pounce, but the trees ahead seemingly came alive, blocking their path and even shredding their metal skeletons at times. Suicide drones bombed incessantly in midair, but faced with the rushing leaves and branches, the drones lost their targets, exploding in the air, triggering wildfires. In a moment, the 3 were far away from this defense line. The next moment they crossed a river, and the moment after they re-entered another dense forest. On the road outside, vehicles were still heading to the battlefield. Above the sky, there were flying vehicles and drones. However, the 3 slipped into the dense forest, like a breeze over the ridge, the bustling scenes behind them slowly fading away. An hour later, they turned around a mountain mouth, exiting the dense mountainous area. Ahead lay a small lake, with a few wooden houses by the lakeside, and below, a tranquil and serene town. Saintess Kyan Ling smiled. "Let's go and first aid your injured partner." Blue Demon's heart raced. Blood traces in that small wooden house. Chapter 479. Chapter 479. The wildest plan in history. The poison he's been afflicted with won't easily find an antidote soon enough. If Wing Blade takes him back to Daxia, I'm afraid he'll be back there with his blood drained dry. In the ancient manner, Fog Heavenly King was the first to receive this message. As soon as the message was out, everyone's complexion turned ashen. Lin Zaiasu and Blue Demon broke through the siege. This announced that their action had completely failed. "Track them," ordered Fog Heavenly King in a low voice. The tracker was the first clever move. Davis, under the guise of investigation funds, gave him 50,000 luo yuan, and one of them had the latest tracker implanted using the latest technology. The tracker's displayed location matched his real location all along, showing that he always carried this 50,000 luo yuan with him. As long as you still have this 50,000 luo yuan on you, there's no escape for you. Even if you escape the mountain area, you won't escape to the sky. Unless you use Wing Blade now to flee Luoba State. Otherwise, even if it's taboo, even in the bustling city, we have to take you down. This was Fog Heavenly King's determination. She couldn't accept her carefully crafted plan failing like this. However, her subordinates quickly reported that the tracker had lost its signal. Perhaps the guy had already figured it out. Fog Heavenly King was genuinely stunned. For an ordinary person, discovering a problematic note among 50,000 luo yuan was nearly impossible. But for him, could anything be impossible? Could he really have found it, or did he just enter a signal dead zone? Keep monitoring. Report immediately upon finding any signal, commanded Fog Heavenly King. Yes. Her intuition was spot on. Lin Zaiasu had long noticed the issue with that note, but to Lin Zaiasu, putting a tracker on money was a joke. Is he the kind of person who carries cash on him? No matter how much cash lands in his hand, doesn't it all get thrown into the space secret realm? The space secret realm is another world, endowed with the ability to cut off anything you can imagine. At first, Lin Zaiasu kept that note on him. But after genuinely breaking through, would he still provide you coordinates? The tracker entered the secret realm space. They thus truly became free people in every sense. The three entered the small wooden house by the lakeside. Lin Zaiasu's eyes swiftly glanced over the house's elegance, stepping directly into the inner room. In the inner room, a wing blade stood against the wall, motionless like a sculpture. On the bed, blood was flowing profusely. Blood Trace lay on the bed, with eyes wide open in the dark. Seeing Lin Zaiasu, his colorless face suddenly turned exceptionally animated. Let me handle the healing. Saintess Kyan Ling stepped forward, stretching out her hand. A wildflower appeared in her palm. Blood Trace stared in a daze. Blood Heavenly King, trust her. Lin Zaiasu smiled. This flower's effect on healing is about 10 times better than my rejuvenation true chi, and with everlasting benefits. Blood Trace deeply looked at him, took the flower and swallowed it whole. As the flower entered his esophagus, his injuries suddenly all started to wriggle. In moments the bleeding stopped, and the wounds on his body scabbed. Lin Zaiasu lightly rubbed, and the blood scabs fell off, shaking Blood Trace to his core. This is this healing. Isn't this clearly an extraordinary self-healing gene? He never had such legendary genes, but now, he unmistakably felt this magical vitality all over his body, the poison in his body dissipating in moments, injuries mending in moments. Heavenly King Blue, a gift for our first meeting. Saintess Kyan Ling raised her hand. Another flower appeared in her palm, handed over to Blue Demon. Blue Demon slightly frowned. I'm not injured. Even if you're unhurt now, there will inevitably come a day you will be. Saintess Kyan Ling said, this is a wood element flower. If you take it, you'll also gain the power of instantaneous self-healing. Instantaneous self-healing. This is what every warrior dreams of, arguably one of the most formidable abilities. Yet it can be easily obtained with just a flower. This completely overturns the gene rules. Even someone as dignified as Blue Demon, as a heavenly king, felt a slight tremble in his heart. Take it, Lin Zaiasu smiled. There's no need for formality between comrades. Blue Demon took it and swallowed it in one gulp. Saintess Kyan Ling gently turned. Heavenly King Blue, shall we go outside for some tea? Let them chat. All right. Blue Demon went out shoulder to shoulder with her. Inside the room, only Lin Zaiasu and Blood Trace remained. Blood Trace reached out his hand to grab Lin Zaiasu's, and Lin Zaiasu clasped his hand in return. Brother, I didn't expect this action to turn out this way, Blood Trace said. Walking the battlefield and living on the edge of doom, there will always be a day caught in a predicament. A turning point will eventually come if you don't give up. Blood Trace smiled. I never thought of giving up, I just didn't dare to imagine being too wild. At least absolutely didn't expect you, brother, to be so wild, using Wing Blade to effortlessly break through the siege. There's more wild to come. Lin Zaiasu peered into his eyes. Blood Trace's eyes suddenly lit up. He shot up. Tell me. Uproot the 9-headed snake headquarters. Blood Trace was shaken to his core. Outside, the two women just brought their teacups close to their mouths and abruptly stopped. Their eyes met, and they saw the shock in each other's eyes. Pull out the nine-headed snake headquarters. How wild is that? Even Chief Long, at this stage, absolutely wouldn't dare to be so arrogant. Because everyone knows what kind of snake the nine-headed snake is, its power, its layout, its talents, its territory. There is no quick solution to the game with the nine-headed snake. Only mutually assured destruction. It has always been this way. Even if it were Qianlong's top heavenly king Jinglei, if he stepped onto the land of Luoba state, his ideal scenario might be to kill one heavenly king and absolutely wouldn't dare to imagine much more. And Lin Zaiasu. But wants to pull out the nine-headed snake headquarters with the strength of 4 people. How is that possible? They don't even have any clues. Even Blue Demon, who just got some big news, personally heard Lin Zaiasu interrogate Davis, gaining a lot of new information outside the Qianlong system, feels that this is entirely impractical. Davis didn't even reveal a single heavenly king. He directly follows the command of Fog Heavenly King, yet he doesn't even know who Fog Heavenly King is. The nine-headed snake practices management structure where superiors know their subordinates, peers know few, and absolutely no one knows their superiors. That is exactly why this management structure exists. The highest tier of nine-headed snake has always been among the Sea of Clouds, and no one knows. Where is the headquarters? Equally, no one knows. Anyone who enters Luoba state will end up in the vast ocean of the nine-headed snake. You only know that countless people around you belong to the nine-headed snake, but where the snake head is, you have no idea. This is the dilemma, how to break it. Blood Trace stepped out of the room. Blue Demon outside stood up. Saintess Qian Ling extended her hand and poured Blood Trace a cup of tea. Lin Zaiasu also sat at the table, taking the tea handed over by Saintess Qian Ling. Entering Luoba state, the first stage of the mission is already successfully completed, but this task is not the end. The end goal is to destroy the nine-headed snake headquarters. Lin Zaiasu said, currently there's a difficulty, the biggest difficulty being that we haven't yet discovered where the headquarters is located, nor who the real top-level members of the headquarters are. However, I believe that as long as we proceed step by step with the plan, we can gradually connect the dots and finally uncover all the secrets of the nine-headed snake. Speak, Blood Trace seemed to be recharged with electricity once again. Lin Zaiasu said, I've got a few names from Davis, among which are a few we can work with. A series of arrangements. Blood Trace and Blue Demon exchanged glances. What kind of tactics are these? An information war or a public opinion war? Who cares what kind of war as long as it's useful? Lin Zaiasu laughed. All right, then we'll head there now. Blood Trace stood up. All right. In a flash, the figures of Blue Demon and Blood Trace disappeared almost simultaneously. In the lakeside cabin, light flickered in the eyes of Saintess Qian Ling. You're now already the hidden dragon uncrowned king, perhaps even more. What do you mean by perhaps even more? At least the Qianlong king doesn't have the right to command 2 legitimate heavenly kings, yet when you speak, they act on your command. In today's world, only the Qianlong head can achieve this, said Saintess Qian Ling with a smile. You're wrong, it's not about giving orders and they're not acting on commands, but rather they trust me, it's just trust. Lin Zaiasu raised his hand slightly, and 6 points of starlight suddenly appeared at his fingertips. Once these 6 points of starlight appeared, as if a step brought the surroundings of the cabin back to spring. Because these were his heavenly star tiers. Skin Heavenly Star. The first one he had already given to Saintess Qian Ling, and he had promised that he would save the rest for her, all 9 in the future. Saintess Qian Ling gazed at the 6 points of starlight at his fingertips. Her breath seemed to momentarily stop. 6. Yes. We separated at Tashin Lake only 5 months ago. 6 heavenly star tiers in 5 months. Do you think I'm a genius? Saintess Qian Ling gently closed her eyes. It's not about what I think. You don't need anyone to think anything. You are a genius. But there's a famous saying in this world. There's a fine line between genius and lunatic. Is that really true? Why do you say that? Lin Zaiasu flicked his finger, and the 6 points of starlight simultaneously shot into Saintess Qian Ling's brow. Saintess Qian Ling slowly opened her eyes. Because I can see, you only have 6 heavenly star tiers within you. You really took that step. You surely know what I'm talking about. The silliest step on the cultivation path. His skin heavenly star had a total of 7 gathered. But currently the shining star that rose above the blood tower, bone star, only had 6. The numbers of skin heavenly star and bone star should be equal. There should absolutely not be any discrepancy in numbers. The only possible explanation is, Lin Zaiasu did that foolish thing. It's the matter Lin Zaiasu called her about the other day. She repeatedly warned him, never use his bone star to save someone. Absolutely not, because as long as he loses this heavenly star tier, he'll never be able to enter observing heaven. This is a judgment of a dead end. This is the greatest taboo that cultivators fear. He ignored her kind advice. Still took off one of his bone star to save someone. A bone star that can be gathered which even the ancient Wan clan heavenly prides couldn't. One that can shine from 1 star to 7 stars in 5 months. What kind of cultivation prodigy is this? It's a world-class pride that even this sect saintess crossing from ancient times couldn't imagine. If placed in ancient times, a person like him would be worth countless guardians sacrificing their lives for, because he would be the hope of his clan. His cultivation road is more important than anything. Even if thousands die, securing his cultivation path is paramount. There would be definitely no foolishness of cutting one's own cultivation road to save a person. However, in him it was overturned. Chapter 480, Chapter 480, a missile falls from the sky. She had already warned him of the severe consequences. Yet he still plucked such a precious heavenly star tier, severing his own path of cultivation. For a moment, the heart of Saintess Kyan Ling surged with emotion. She was shaken by his talent, lamented the breaking of his path, and could not comment on his foolishness. I'm sorry. Saintess Kyan Ling fixed her gaze on his face. You're saying sorry to me. Yes, in this world, only 2 people had high hopes for my cultivation path, and you're one of them. Lin Zaiasu said, I failed your expectations, so I should apologize. 2 people, who else? Blue Demon, only she knows everything, Lin Zaiasu replied. Saintess Kyan Ling gently exhaled. The person you're saving is Chang Yi, isn't it? Yes. She to you, she is actually that important to you. Saintess Kyan Ling initially posed a question, but midway, she adjusted it to an exclamation. Because for this matter, there was no need to ask, only to marvel at it. To be able to make him sever his cultivation path and insist on pulling her back by force, how could she not be important? She is the most important person. I think what it means to be human is to have a few lines one cannot cross in one's heart. Lin Zaiasu said, I couldn't watch her die in front of me and remain indifferent. Upon stepping onto the cultivation path, there is no more passion in the world. This saying has become a golden rule on the path of cultivation, and the reason is right here. Cultivators might not truly be devoid of emotions, but they dare not have too many because they know that as long as they hold onto these emotions, they will choose wrongly when faced with a decision. What is right? What is wrong? Lin Zaiasu gazed toward the sky. To be born in this world, sometimes it's not about right or wrong, just peace of mind. Saintess Kyan Ling gently lifted the teacup. The past is gone, entangling is pointless, have a drink. This cup I toast to you. Lin Zaiasu raised his teacup, lightly clinked it with hers, and took a sip. When you return, I will go with you, Saintess Kyan Ling said, leaving the life in Luoba state behind. Saintess Kyan Ling smiled lightly, completely turning this page. Why make such a choice? Because here I can't find a fool like you. Saintess Kyan Ling smiled softly. I think perhaps by Tashan Lake I can see more of you. Lin Zaiasu laughed. Seems like I'm actually not that foolish. I only used 1 drop of heavenly star tier to trade for a loved one's safety, my own peace of mind, and also managed to whisk you away. Saintess Kyan Ling laughed, her smile extraordinarily pure. Lin Zaiasu looked up, observing the small wooden house. This small wooden house was exceptionally elegant and unique. His fingers lightly traced the distinctively textured wooden table. You put a lot of thought into this small house. Yes, in the Naren's family's castle I couldn't stay a single day, so I could only stay here, naturally making a tiny renovation, Saintess Kyan Ling said. Once we leave, the small house can't be taken with us, Lin Zaiasu said. Would you mind if it's destroyed? It doesn't matter, Saintess Kyan Ling was a bit puzzled. She didn't quite understand why Lin Zaiasu said this. Once they leave, they'd never return. What problem does this small wooden house present? Then I'll lend a hand and destroy it for you. Lin Zaiasu flicked his finger, and 100 luobai bills shot from his hand, nailing to the wall in front. Saintess Kyan Ling's brow slightly furrowed. "What are you?" Lin Zaiasu said. "In at most an hour a missile will fall from the sky. Let's go." Saintess Kyan Ling's complexion subtly changed. 3 minutes later, they descended the hill, and 10 minutes later, they reached a mountain top, from where the small wooden house appeared tiny and serene. Half an hour passed. 8 figures appeared within their sight. Each of these 8 was exceedingly skilled, moving through the night like ghosts. If they were still in the small house, they might not have noticed these 8 arriving. A small black dot suddenly appeared in the sky. The small black dot rapidly expanded. It was a missile. With a thunderous boom, the location of the small wooden house was completely flattened, everything ripped apart, including the house itself, the flooring, the foundation beneath the small wooden house, and even a large tree 3 meters away from the house, all torn apart, flames soaring to the sky, consuming everything. The 8 figures simultaneously leaped, forming an encirclement. However, within the encirclement, there was no sign of life. The 8 carefully searched, using instruments for precise detection, and finally found a fingernail-sized scorched yellow paper piece. This was a remnant of a luobai. Saintess Kyan Ling gently let out a breath. "Did that luobai have a tracker?" "Yes." "You destroyed my small wooden house this way?" "Yes, to prevent you from sitting by Tashan Lake living, always thinking that there's still a small wooden house here. So I cut off your retreat, making sure that from now on, you can only stay by Tashan Lake." Saintess Kyan Ling was almost at a loss for words. In the ancient estate, under the night sky, the Fog Heavenly King seemed to have hidden himself in the mist entirely. The subordinates reported that the tracker appeared at a small wooden house, so a missile was precisely launched, blowing up the small wooden house, with 8 masters cleaning up the aftermath. In the end, they cleaned up an emptiness. What is this called? This is mockery. This is ridicule. This is even more so an announcement. Lin Zaiasu discovered the tracker, deliberately exposing it as he told her. "When it comes to tactics, I excel at everything compared to you." Fog Heavenly King felt a sense of helplessness. In the past, she had never felt this way. But as Lin Zaiasu entered Luoba State and engaged in a complete game with her, she felt a sense of helplessness. Clearly, she had the advantage of timing, geography, and harmony. Yet the final result was one-sided. Everything he planned succeeded. Everything she planned failed. Is Fog Heavenly King still the brains of such a mysterious organization like Nine-Headed Snake? Is he not clearly the fool being manipulated by him? This crushing defeat in tactics truly broke Fog Heavenly King's defenses. But she never imagined that this series of divine operations was merely an appetizer. The upcoming play is the true beginning. Jinglai City. Inside the tavern. Blue Demon at this moment seemed like a college graduate sitting in a chair, intensely focused on the projection generated in the air. The work she was about to undertake appeared very low-end. It's nothing more than hacking into someone's Twitter account and posting a message. This person is the owner of a pharmaceutical company in Ruli country named Crete. Crete, besides being a social activist, had 3.3 million followers on his Twitter account. On his Twitter account, he posted environmental and public welfare videos, having quite an influence in the Western world. However, no one knows he was part of Nine-Headed Snake. Blue Demon just recently discovered this. How did she learn about it? Lin Zaiasu's secondary deity interrogation of Davis. He named over a dozen people, a few of whom were quite influential, like Crete. It took only 3 minutes for Blue Demon to successfully crack Crete's account password. She gained the privilege to post videos. Then she prepared to post a video. She stared at Crete's HD image for a while. Her physique, her face, her attire completely changed. The projection in Dragon Eye switched to Crete's usual background of a casual tea room. Then the image generation began. Soon, a tweet was sent out through Crete's account. "Dear friends, I swear by the sacred reputation of the Ruli Prona family, every word I say next is true." In the video, Crete's voice was filled with a sense of age, his demeanor full of sincerity. "I was controlled by Nine-Headed Snake. The POR pharmaceutical company I founded has always been working for Nine-Headed Snake. 11 years ago, to acquire 800 acres of land along the Jingnai River, I personally orchestrated the Dul's tragedy, causing the death of 73 people. These 73 were first poisoned, then left to burn alive in the fire scene. I have undergone moral judgment, tormented day and night. I stain the sacred lineage of the Prona family. I will spend the rest of my life testifying against the evil nine-headed snake and personally bring the mastermind to trial as my atonement. Video sent. In a moment, views reached over 10,000. Comments appeared. Nine-headed snake, indeed this evil organization. Nine-headed snake, the enemy of humanity. Mr. Crete found his way back impressive. Supporting you. Support. Like and share. Shares began to skyrocket. Clicks became increasingly fierce. Comments quickly surpassed 1,000, 3,000, 5,000. The online frenzy rapidly shifted offline. Jingnai, this metropolis closely tied to the news, went crazy offline. In the taverns and hotels, countless people jumped up angrily. Regarding the Dul's tragedy, even if others aren't sure, who in Jingnai doesn't know? At that time, for land acquisition to build the POR company's research base, an exceptionally tragic incident erupted. A mysterious fire claimed the lives of over 70 people. The police later investigated it as an accidental fire. The insurance company paid fully compensated, considering the matter settled. But after 11 years, the incident revealed to be a plot by nine-headed snake. Those over 70 people, they have descendants. They also have family and friends. These descendants and close friends, their hearts filled with rage at the first moment. POR company completely shocked. Newcomers were confused. The company's higher-ups, who saw the frantically shared video immediately, all trembled with fear. Only they knew the facts in the message were true. POR company was indeed part of nine-headed snake. The Dul's tragedy back then was indeed planned to build the research center. However, they couldn't understand why the company founder would do something so drastic, directly publishing such a secretive message, instantly knocking POR company from heaven into hell. Crete, vacationing in West U country, received a phone call. As the call came, Crete was completely confused, springing up from the beach lounge chair. What? I posted a message. No way. No, the voice on the other end was extremely stern. Check your account yourself. Crete tapped his finger. The video appeared in the void on his Twitter account. Crete's face turned as pale as paper, trembling slightly. Fabricated. It's completely fabricated. Immediately delete the video. Immediately post a correction. Right now. The voice in the phone was filled with murderous intent. Chapter 481. Chapter 481. The Storm of Public Opinion. Yes, Cavinson immediately took action. However, his account information had already been taken over, and he had no way to operate. Cavinson broke out in a cold sweat. Every second the video was gaining traction. Every second, this upheaval was becoming more uncontrollable. Yet he could not control his own account. A phone call was made, and the company's tech personnel went into action, engaging in a hacker skills showdown with the unknown adversary. But no matter how strong their team was, it took time to crack. A female secretary next to Cavinson was also panicking. Sir, this message is extremely damaging. Deleting it now or even issuing a correction won't be of much help. How could Cavinson not know the seriousness of the situation? The seriousness was never about the hacking and social media meddling. It was because the matter mentioned was factual. As long as it was fact once exposed, you couldn't cover it up. Because this matter couldn't withstand scrutiny. That damn hacker, that damn leaker, they were going to ruin his POR company. However, he could never have imagined. The move Lin Zaiasu was orchestrating wasn't aimed at his POR company. Suddenly, a black spot appeared on the hilltop behind. The next moment, it transformed into a humanoid machine. Winged blade. Winged blade descended. With a faint hiss, Cavinson's head separated from his body. The next moment, winged blade shot upwards and vanished without a trace. The video Cavinson posted was now at the peak of being shared. Suddenly, in the comments below, new content was added. Just now, Cavinson was killed. The murderer was a strange bird. Soon, the strange bird had a new interpretation, which was an image. It was none other than Winged Blade's image. You have to believe, the power of netizens is incredible, and soon someone recognized it as the Winged Blade famous worldwide under Nine-Headed Snake. Suddenly, a new trending topic formed. Cavinson finds his way, intended to prosecute Nine-Headed Snake's masterminds. Nine-Headed Snake silences him, deploying Winged Blade. The two hot topics alternated rising, like two massive stones crashing heavily in the Western sphere of public opinion. The waves they stirred were sky-high. In an ancient manner, the Fog Heavenly King had just refreshed herself. She hadn't slept last night, negotiating with Lin Zaiasu, truly taxing. Just waking today, the two trending topics presented themselves before her. The Fog Heavenly King's face lost its peerless brilliance and turned ashen. In front of her, that middle-aged gentleman bowed and said, "Your Highness, it's been verified that this message wasn't posted by Cavinson himself. It was a hacker intrusion, most likely orchestrated by Lin Zaiasu." The Fog Heavenly King nodded slowly. The middle-aged gentleman said, "This scoundrel's most malicious aspect in this plan is that all the content inside is true. What's more malicious is, he clearly used winged blade to kill Cavinson, but in the global sphere, it's considered us who killed Cavinson." The Fog Heavenly King's mind was swirling with big waves. She was also troubled. The nine-headed snake possessed extraordinarily strong influence, almost controlling most of the Western political scene and media, but this control was implicit, not to be shown publicly. In the public eye, nine-headed snake is still a crime syndicate. Generally speaking, they don't care about this perception. But now, a message turned into a hot topic, showing openly for the first time in such a remarkably explosive manner in front of the public. Openly displaying is the brilliance of this plan. The brilliance of this plan is also in its aftermath. That bastard Lin Zaiasu publicly used winged blade to kill Cavinson. The direct perception formed among people is that nine-headed snake feared Cavinson would follow the video's claims to point out the masterminds, so they preemptively killed him. This is a logical closed loop. This is framing. But this framing can't be washed clean at all in the face of the unexplainable Dull's tragedy. But how did this kid even know these insider details? Before the Fog Heavenly King could clarify all the key points, another explosive message was sent out. Also from Twitter account, this time posted by another more famous social activist. This person is Richard, not a native. He's from Greece and also a businessman with 5 million followers on Twitter. He issued a statement. "Just learned that Mr. Cavinson has passed on, deeply saddened, and profoundly angry. If not provided with support, I could not repent before God. I too am under nine-headed snake's control, and my Davin group is responsible for the OUI virus 3 years ago, which was developed for nine-headed snake, personally supervised by Congressman Cavinson. On July 21, the virus leaked, causing 80,000 Greeks to contract terminal illness. I may go to hell, but nine-headed snake's evil organization deserves hell even more." This message was launched and once again became a trending topic. Richard himself was scrolling through Twitter when he suddenly saw it on the trending list and was utterly shocked. His hand trembled, the controller dropped to the desk, and his body jolted. Next to him, several company executives' faces changed simultaneously. Scrolling videos, they suddenly scrolled to Richard. The words made their hearts skip a beat. "Sir, hurry up and leave. Hurry." The assistant beside him was sweating at the tip of his nose. Richard jumped up, left the office, and headed for the underground parking garage. However, no one expected that on the rooftop of the building opposite, a person had a smile on their face. This person was Lin Zaiasu. He first tracked down Richard, then passed the information to the Blue Demon. As soon as Blue Demon released the forged video, Richard, as expected, immediately sensed the crisis, fearing he would follow in Crete's footsteps. But unfortunately, under Lin Zaiasu's meticulous planning, follow he must. The next moment, the wing blade cut through the air. Swoosh! Richard's head and body separated. He confirmed the words in his video, "Down to hell." The ensuing storm truly pushed the nine-headed snake to the deepest pits of hell. This time, it wasn't a fire incident involving over 70 deaths, but a virus case. Viruses are what ordinary people are most sensitive about. The OUI virus, which panicked everyone in Luoba state, once terrified countries around the world, and strict defenses were in place. This virus had caused over 1 million people to suffer terminal illnesses globally. International organizations conducted rigorous investigations, and the Davin group was even implicated, but no evidence was found. Now it's been verified. It was behind it. Its boss personally admitted it, and even implicated a veteran congressman. Just after admitting it, he was silenced by the nine-headed snake. This completely exploded the global public opinion scene. The congressman had just walked out of the office and was surrounded by countless people. Reporters pointed their cameras at him, and this veteran congressman finally lost his usual complacency as cold sweat dripped down his back. He had a vague feeling that his political career might be over. And that wasn't the scariest part. The scariest was that the next step after being sucked into the vortex of public opinion often involved the wing blade cutting through. Would he? He had just thought of that. He genuinely panicked and quickly ran to his car. He sped out of the crowd. Ahead was a curve. Swoosh! The car split in two, and the head of the congressman sitting in the backseat flew up. The wing blade disappeared into thin air. Trending searches surged again. Veteran Congressman Cavinson was killed by the wing blade. In an upscale hotel in Jingnai, amidst the bustling streets, inside the massive presidential suite were two people, one the Blue Demon and the other Blood Trace. Blue Demon raised his gaze. Do you feel like we're doing something that seems childish, but is actually of profound significance? Profound significance. Are you referring to the way he's using this public opinion war to bring the nine-headed snake into the view of the ordinary public, thus creating absolute public opinion pressure on it? Yes, the nine-headed snake has deeply infiltrated Western political circles, affecting every aspect. The upper echelons know of its shadow, but the ordinary people are indifferent to it. This move is to directly tear off the veil of the nine-headed snake, letting the common people oppose it, making it completely lose its public foundation. Blood Trace laughed. I'm not someone who plans or creates waves. I'd rather narrow my focus a bit. Narrow your focus. What did you see? Blue Demon asked. Blood Trace said, I think this is still his cleanup method. These people being named were originally our targets for removal. Direct removal would easily create an unfavorable public opinion atmosphere. But by naming them like this first and then removing them in the public opinion arena, the fingers won't point at us but at the nine-headed snake, clearing the public opinion obstacles for our actions. This explanation is also acceptable. Implementing a cleanup operation against the nine-headed snake in a foreign country is actually a very difficult task. First is the difficulty of detection. Second, difficulty in execution. Third, the difficulty in aftermath handling. Detection is difficult because the enemy's actions are hidden, and no one has a label of the nine-headed snake on their head. Even if they commit great evils, they all have a layer of protection. Execution is difficult because there are over 20 countries in Luoba State, and the nine-headed snake members are in all countries, with different identities and residences, making it hard to kill even one, let alone everyone on the list. Aftermath handling is difficult because murder is a serious crime in any country and creates significant repercussions. However, through this tidal wave in the public opinion arena, actions can be taken conveniently. Detective Lin Zaiasu's skill is enough to lock onto any person. The wing blade can traverse thousands of miles in an instant, ensuring he reaches any location silently. The one-sided public opinion can make ordinary people believe that these people all died at the hands of the nine-headed snake. A threefold gain that fits Lin's planning. In the ancient manor, Fog Heavenly King finally received news. On the Twitter side, everything has been settled. The most popular videos have all been taken down. Manual review is newly added, and any such messages posted are not approved. This is the benefit of control. Even Twitter can be infiltrated. Name whoever you want, assassinate whoever you want, frame whoever you want. Fog Heavenly King exhaled lightly. This road is blocked. I shall see what other methods you have. Beside a small lake in a tea room, Saintess Kyan Ling held a teacup and slightly raised it to Lin Zaiasu. All the videos have been taken down, and no new videos are being published. Your strategy of naming first and assassinating later, though it started with a bang, can't continue now. Lin Zaiasu chuckled. You think I plan to continue this strategy indefinitely, or do you think my targets were just those small fries from before? Saintess Kyan Ling furrowed her brows. Chapter 482. Chapter 482. 8 Masters Hunted in a Single Night. Lin Zaiasu said, I've long known this road can't be pursued. I never intended to follow it. The earlier steps were just groundwork. I only needed one thing. What is that? To cover for the upcoming assassination against key targets using the wing blade, Lin Zaiasu said calmly. Key targets? Saintess Kyan Ling was shocked. You have a list of key targets. Do you know why I destroyed your cabin? Saintess Kyan Ling's eyes widened. She had asked him this question before. His answer was ambiguous. Destroy your cabin, and from now on you would only stay at Tashin Lake, never leaving me. The original words were different, but the ambiguous meaning was the same. What's that? Your answer wasn't the truth. Lin Zaiasu seemed to have seen through her confusion at a glance and smiled. Destroying your cabin, leaving you to settle down in Daxia, was certainly a beautiful expectation, but it wasn't the only reason. There was another reason. I knew that exposing myself in your cabin would prompt an attack from a batch of top assassins. The key targets you mentioned, are they them? Lin Zaiasu replied, yes. These 8 people appeared around the cabin at the first instance. They have already stepped onto Nave Bridge, and tonight, the 9-headed snake will experience a wrenching pain. Saintess Kaian Ling took a deep breath. These 8 people appeared right under our noses. You didn't make a move then, and now they've dispersed. Do you plan to use the wing blade to take them down one by one? Yes, if they were together, we would struggle to kill them, but 3 days have passed and they must have already separated. Using the wing blade in cooperation with us, teaming up to kill any one of them wouldn't be difficult. But as you said, 3 days have passed. Are you confident in finding them? Lin Zaiasu laughed. This is my track. On that night, the wing blade soared through the air, with 2 people on its back. Lin Zaiasu and Saintess Kaian Ling. The 2 returned to the Alpine Mountains. Lin Zaiasu's gaze penetrated 10,000 meters of altitude, through the night sky, using time-space reversal to lock onto a person. The wing blade dashed through, reaching a southwestern city with incredible speed. In a hotel, a man was sleeping. Suddenly, a cracking sound, the window shattered. The man was exceptionally alert, opened his eyes sharply to see a wing blade swooping in, its sharp wings like 2 hell blades. The man was shocked, his body lifting into the air, and as he rose, a sharp blade appeared in his hand. That reaction speed was not inferior to blood trace, S in the slightest. Clang! A loud metallic crash, the man was flung backward, crashing through the wall, the entire hotel in chaos. His reaction speed unparalleled, his body suddenly plunged towards a river behind him. Suddenly swish. A silver flash of unmatched sharpness seemed to emerge from thin air, accurately slicing across the man's throat. His head flew off, eyes wide open, completely incredulous. With a swoosh, 2 shadows leaped from the ruins, breaking into the sky, the wing blade soaring, catching them, then piercing into the firmament, disappearing without a trace. In the next moment, they returned to the starting point, changing route. In less than an hour, Lin Zaiasu and Saintess Kaian Ling made 5 round trips. 5 top experts fell under their hands. All 5 in Lin Zaiasu's sight were Nirvana. Nirvana are difficult to kill individually, but under such abrupt assault, in the joint efforts of Lin Zaiasu, Saintess Kaian Ling, and the wing blade, killing them took only an instant. In the ancient manner, Fog Heavenly King was awakened from her dreams for the first time. Upon reaching the council chamber, she received this news. Once this news arrived, Fog Heavenly King, a first-class Heavenly King renowned in the 9-headed snake for her wit, truly lost her color. In just an hour, 5 Nirvana distributed across 3 countries were all killed. Yes, subordinates truly cannot imagine how he managed to do this. The middle-aged gentleman at that moment could no longer maintain a gentlemanly demeanor, his hair disheveled, body trembling. Using the wing blade can certainly reach these places within an hour, but this also requires precise pre-control that no detective could possibly achieve. No miraculous detective skill could do it, unless the detective himself wasn't using detective skills at all. Fog Heavenly King's voice abruptly fell silent. Who are the 5 people you mentioned? 5 images were presented. Fog Heavenly King's expression changed drastically. These are all the people who surrounded the mountain cabin that day. He deliberately exposed himself then, it turns out with such sinister intentions. Notify the remaining 3 immediately. Any delay and catastrophe awaits. Fog Heavenly King finally understood. Lin Zaiasu left a tracker on purpose that day not just to mock her. There was also a sinister strategy, that is, to lure experts forward. On that day when the experts encircled, he dared not move. But when they dispersed, he could use his miraculous tracking technique to settle accounts one by one. Each piece he placed on his chessboard had a purpose. Every step was calculated. And this exceedingly sinister calculation, Fog Heavenly King fell for once again. The cost was that 5 top experts were successfully ambushed by him. These top experts were all Nirvana, cultivated by the 9-headed snake at great expense over decades on the 7 Nirvana islands worldwide. The cost of cultivating each of them far exceeded an equivalent amount of gold. In more than an hour, losing 5 people, Fog Heavenly King's heart bled. This must be remedied quickly. Notify the first person. No connection. The middle-aged gentleman's face turned blue. Such a dedicated line should never fail to connect. If received, there's no reason not to answer. Failure to connect probably only indicates one thing: the person has been deactivated. Just as the second one was connected, before a word could be uttered, there was a sharp, urgent hiss, followed by half a scream. Fog Heavenly King's complexion completely changed. Her breath completely halted. From the communicator came a voice, very soft. "Fog Heavenly King, is it you?" Sounding both male and female. However, Fog Heavenly King knew clearly, this person was Lin Zaiasu. She was clad entirely in mist. Lin Zaiasu said, "Have you heard the saying? It's called, roles in battle switch sides." Fog Heavenly King's heart suddenly tightened. Roles in battle switch sides. This is a statement from Daxia country, representing a switch in roles. From this moment onward, the hunter and the prey have exchanged places. He, Lin Zaiasu, will transform into the hunter, and the important members of Nine-Headed Snake are his prey. Bang! The communicator shattered. There's one last person. This person is extraordinary. Because he is not a Nirvana, he is a Heavenly King. Iron Blood Heavenly King. Fog Heavenly King contacted him, the connection successful. When Iron Blood Heavenly King heard the message, he slammed the table and stood up. "Good, very good, I will wait for him." Black Seashore. A villa. In the courtyard, ancient trees towered, and shadows flitted through the yard. The defense lines were activated simultaneously, because confidential information had been received, indicating an extremely dangerous assassin was coming. At first, the people inside were very happy. An assassin is coming. Great, just as we're feeling bored. Killing a few oblivious so-called assassins would be fun, wouldn't it? Dare to intrude the villa of Iron Blood Heavenly King, you ask around globally, who is so ignorant? However, quickly, the intelligence was supplemented. The more it supplemented, the more shocked the people were. This evening it was not the visitor's first action. He had acted 7 times, killed 7 people, all of them were Nirvana. Upon hearing this, everyone was terrified. Nirvana, these 3 characters alone were enough. Nirvana, in terms of skills alone, could rival a Heavenly King. The visitor, in one night, killed 7 Nirvana figures. No wonder the Heavenly King was so cautious. Who exactly is he? It is a legendary figure from Daxia country. Under his hand, there were already the lives of 2 Heavenly Kings, the White-Clothed King and the Shadowy Heaven King. Everyone, every position, level 1 alert. The orders from above were issued, extremely solemn. The night wind blew in this place close to the north. It was extremely cold. All the equipment was fully activated. Everyone was on duty. All defenses were completely engaged. On the electronic surveillance screen, there was no abnormality at all. However, standing by the window, Iron Blood Heavenly King suddenly raised his head. Behind a mountain, a tiny black dot. Upon seeing this black dot, the Iron Blood Heavenly King, who roamed the world without fear, tensed up. It's here. The black dot descended from the sky. At lightning speed. It was the wing blade. The wing blade was launched. Radar was ineffective, visible only to the naked eye, and not all eyes could see it. For most it was just a blink. The wing blade had reached the villa. With a loud boom, countless shadows simultaneously flew up, pouncing toward the position of the wing blade. There were flying devices, genetic people, and even the latest flying robots, larger than the wing blade. On the wing blade, a graceful shadow flickered down, landing on an ancient tree in the courtyard. With a swish, this ancient tree's branches suddenly started growing wildly. Hiss, hiss, hiss. Countless branches, like a 1,000-armed guardian, stabbed in all directions. The first wave of attack officially commenced, and the wing blade in the air shot directly toward where Iron Blood Heavenly King was. It was so precise, without the slightest error. Iron Blood Heavenly King raised his hand, and a huge blade appeared out of nowhere, and his body inexplicably doubled in size, over 2 feet tall. With a lift of the huge blade, there was a thunderous tremor, and the platform under his feet cracked, and the wing blade, traveling at 30 Mach, was forcibly shaken open. He himself was also launched by the fierce impact of the wing blade into the castle behind him, and the castle was instantly pierced through with a large hole. Iron Blood Heavenly King, with just his own strength, had forcibly shaken off the wing blade. This was unprecedented in history. However, as Iron Blood Heavenly King got up from the ruins in front of him, a sword suddenly appeared. This sword was only 4 feet long. Nor was it solid. However, as this sword slashed, Iron Blood Heavenly King suddenly felt a massive mountain toppling over. He raised his huge blade to block the sword. Boom! Iron Blood Heavenly King stepped back 3 steps, and his huge blade shattered inch by inch. Kill! Iron Blood Heavenly King raised his right fist, punching toward Lin Zaiasu. This punch under the starlight was clearly visible, not like a physical body at all, but like a world-shaking hammer. Lin Zaiasu raised his 5-element sword again, confronting directly. This time, Iron Blood Heavenly King didn't even step back, only his clothes completely shattered, exposing his steel-like vigorous body, shimmering with metallic gleam. Good, Lin Zaiasu shouted loudly, again. The sword fell. Iron Blood Heavenly King took a step forward, concentrating all his strength, using his huge fist to face Lin Zaiasu's heavy sword. This punch was sure to shatter this sword. However, the earth-shaking collision did not occur. Lin Zaiasu's sword suddenly disappeared without a trace. He then instantly teleported, appearing behind Iron Blood Heavenly King, gently touching a finger to the back of Iron Blood Heavenly King's head. The frontal attack fiercely strong. This touch gentle and graceful. Theoretically, let alone a finger, even if a bullet truly hit the back of Iron Blood Heavenly King's head, it would hardly cause any substantial damage, yet this finger touched the back of his head. Iron Blood Heavenly King's eyes suddenly widened, his gaze filled with confusion. Chapter 483. Chapter 483. The Heavenly King's Killing Trap. Heavenly King! 2 loud shouts came from below, accompanied by 2 figures rolling upwards. 2 martial arts masters soared into the air, swords and blades in hand, aiming at Lin Zaiasu. They had a premonition that something was wrong with the Heavenly King because he had suddenly stopped moving. Their reaction was quick, but they ignored another person. Standing atop the tree like a celestial being was the Saintess Kaian Ling. Saintess Kaian Ling flicked her slender finger, and suddenly, 2 branches at the treetop below her glowed with a strange luminescence. These 2 branches silently extended 100-fold. Whoosh! Like the swords of unrivaled masters, they simultaneously pierced the foreheads of the 2 martial arts experts. The eyes of the 2 experts widened abruptly, their bodies suddenly became emaciated, and in the next moment they turned into skeletons. 2 living people just like that turned into skeletons from thin air. The scene terrified everyone present, while a bead of sweat appeared on the forehead of Saintess Kaian Ling. This move, named Spirit Control 1000 Mountains, was the famed killing move that helped her dominate the battlefield back in the day. Used to its extreme, all the trees in the mountains within a 100-mile circle could become sharp blades in her hand. Under her precise control, she could annihilate thousands of troops in an instant. However, today, merely 2 branches were enough to exhaust her. The journey to restore her cultivation is, indeed, long and arduous. She wondered if refining all these 6 heavenly stars he gave her would make any difference. Lin Zaiasu was oblivious to this scene. He was wholly focused on executing the divine control skill, because what a heavenly king said under a sub-divine skill was too crucial for him. Finally, he completed the control. What is your identity in the 9-headed snake? Iron Blood Heavenly King. Reveal all the real information about the heavenly kings of the 9-headed snake. I only know Fog Heavenly King. All the orders come from her, she is. Boom! The head of Iron Blood Heavenly King exploded into a mist of blood, and the headless body fell from the high building. Below, chaos had already ensued. Wing blades skimmed the low sky to slay adversaries. Saintess Kaian Ling unleashed devastation with countless trees, leaving no one alive in the entire villa. 10 minutes later, Wing Blade ascended into the sky, and a battleship sped over the Black Sea. Whether this was the reinforcements from 9-headed snake, Lin Zaiasu did not know, nor did he care. He only cared about one thing, to capture Fog Heavenly King as quickly as possible. The members at the Heavenly King level of the 9-headed snake are highly secretive, and in fact, they are not well acquainted with each other. At least, This iron-blood heavenly king knew nothing about the other heavenly kings. While he excels in combat power, he is lacking in wisdom, making him suitable as a main force for external battles, but not suitable for knowing more secrets. However, there is one person who is certainly an exception. This person is the Fog Heavenly King, because she is the intelligence gatherer. She is also the decision maker and organizer of major events. Such a person must know all the real information about the heavenly kings. If we're going to play, let's play big. Capture her, and basically have all the heavenly kings of the nine-headed snake under control. I know who this person is, said Saintess Kyan Ling, the fashion icon who leads the trend for women in Luoba, a global darling of the fashion world. Who would have thought she is actually the Fog Heavenly King of the nine-headed snake? Lin Zaiasu nodded lightly. The heavenly kings of the nine-headed snake hold prestigious titles in the outside world, thriving in their respective fields, which makes sense. If she were just a super-rich lady, it would be easy to handle her, but she is the Fog Heavenly King, the most renowned genius. Actions targeting her need to be especially cautious. Saintess Kyan Ling said, "We absolutely cannot be reckless." "Rest assured I will be very cautious," Lin Zaiasu said. "There are still 3 hours before dawn. We'll use 3 hours to deal with her." Saintess Kyan Ling was a bit puzzled. Using 3 hours to deal with her reflects your attention to her. Lin Zaiasu smiled. "Previously, we took down 8 top experts, spending only 2 hours in total. For her alone, I'm giving 3 hours. Isn't that enough attention?" Saintess Kyan Ling didn't know how to respond. It seemed he wasn't wrong. Based on the time calculations, his level of attention to Fog Heavenly King was unprecedented. The time spent on her alone was 50% more than the total for the 8 top experts. But why do I feel it's a bit laughable to measure a 9-headed snake heavenly king with a few hours? Damn my country. Reuters Manor. This is a very ancient manor, with records tracing back to the Middle Ages. It is said to be the home of vampires. This terrifying rumor has led to the 70-acre, historically rich manor being unsellable for a long period. Until this century, a woman renowned in Luoba State bought this manor. Her name is Audrey. Her brilliance was famed worldwide, having acted in films, and with just one film she seized the crown for Best Actress. She has an intimate relationship with royal families of various countries. She is an honored guest among the world's elite. Whether she's in their innermost circles, that's unknown. Regardless of whether they are film celebrities, socialites, or the distant Daxia elite thousands of kilometers away, all take pride in having afternoon tea with her. Her words became the golden phrases of the self-media era. Her attire is the trendsetter for the entire world. She bought this ancient castle manor, which is rumored to be inhabited by vampires, leaving the world a beautiful story of seamless fusion of modern beauty and history. It was already late at night, but a hall within the castle was brightly lit. Through large floor-to-ceiling windows, one could clearly see the shadow sitting at the highest point of the hall, amidst the haze, still possessing a certain breathtaking beauty. Beneath the castle, many people were present. From the outside, it seemed that a grand banquet was taking place inside. Standing at the top of a large tree, Saintess Kyan Ling's eyes twinkled. It's basically verified. She indeed should be the Fog Heavenly King. The protection in this castle is much tighter than Iron Blood Heavenly King's Black Sea Villa. Lin Zaiasu nodded lightly. Saintess Kyan Ling's gaze slowly shifted. Maybe we should adjust our strategy and not aim for total annihilation, just target the Fog Heavenly King. In the Iron Blood Heavenly King's villa, they fought a total annihilation battle. In the Black Sea Villa, all genetic people were wiped out, and the Iron Blood Heavenly King was also executed by his subordinates, in an interrogation that even made Saintess Kyan Ling's heart skip. She knew very well that this was the marvelous use of subdivine skill. And subdivine skill made even her, the knight of past glory, feel unfamiliar and fearful. Heaven bears witness, as the extraordinary blend of ancient heavenly pride combined with modern heavenly pride, seldom can anything escape her understanding. Yet subdivine skill is an exception. She felt sensitive to subdivine skill also because, in the heavenly blood coffin, she had a life-and-death duel with a mysterious secondary deity master. Her current status is thanks to the grant of subdivine skill. A strand of Lin Zaiasu's voice entered her ears. "Your plan is correct. Today, we target only the Fog Heavenly King." Saintess Kyan Ling said, Then you and Wing Blade will launch a main attack suddenly. I'll hold the rear. Her design plan was the optimal strategy. Lin Zaiasu and Wing Blade would strike fast, with 2 against 1, killing the Fog Heavenly King at lightning speed, while she played with the large tree in the manor and used it as a rearguard barrier to block the pursuers. However, Lin Zaiasu shook his head lightly. The person in the hall is a fake. With one sentence, Saintess Kyan Ling's heart suddenly skipped a beat. Without any surprises, this castle was set up for us as a trap. If we make a move against this fake Heavenly King, she might be willing to blow up the entire castle, erasing us completely. Saintess Kyan Ling's eyes suddenly widened. The whole castle is in the scope of destruction. This possibility cannot be ruled out. There are at least 100 people inside, and most of them are real people. Do you think the Hydra Snake King cares about the death of 100 people? Saintess Kyan Ling stared blankly at him. Why are you so certain this Fog Heavenly King is fake? Lin Zaiasu smiled slightly. You and I are comrades on the same boat. I won't hide from you. This was the target of the strategy we set by Tashan Lake. Back then by Tashan Lake. Saintess Kyan Ling's heart surged. That strategy. You had me gather 9 wood flowers to gift the 9-headed snake's high-ranking members. You told me a vague saying at that time. To take, one must give first. The real reason is, as long as they consumed the wood flowers you gave them, I can clearly sense them within a 20-kilometer radius. Saintess Kyan Ling exhaled softly. Because my wood flower carries the unique aura of your pleated heavenly star, so you can clearly sense it. Yes, Lin Zaiasu replied. In Jiangcheng, I killed the shadowy Heaven King because he carried the aura of the wood flower. Just now, we killed the Iron Blood Heavenly King. He had this aura too. But sitting in this hall is the Fog Heavenly King, who, though appearing entirely like the image in photos and videos and being treated by people as suitable for her identity, doesn't have this aura. Saintess Kyan Ling had no hold on her emotions. Back then, his unexpected move troubled her for a long time. But she decoded only its peculiarity without getting its real meaning. She acted on the scheme because of the wisdom saying, to take, one must give first. But now he revealed the true essence. He knew very well that once the 9-headed snake's upper echelon got the wood flower that can instantaneously heal injuries, excluding decapitation, they would certainly use it on the absolute upper echelon and could not afford any loss. The Heavenly Kings were the prime choices. And his real aim was to utilize the 20-kilometer precise sensing, magical ability to preset a death noose around these absolute top echelons. Such a layout targeting mind and heart with preemptive control. How ingenious. This admiration was not just about tactics, but also quietly split off a little divergence. If the wood flower, which carried only a tiny bit of his aura, he can accurately locate, then how precise would his sensing be for the pleated heavenly star tier itself? He must know where the pleated heavenly star is located in her body. Thinking of this, Saintess Kyan Ling's heart was in turmoil. Chapter 484. Chapter 484. Killing the Fog Heavenly King in the Dark Chamber. Skin Heavenly Star, refined within her body. Every time it was placed at her pylorus, there's no choice. The life seed enters the life path. Doesn't it conform to the great Tao? Back then it was 1, now it's 7. My God, 7 of his skin heavenly stars gathered at her pylorus. When he senses it, wouldn't he see through her pylorus? At this moment, Saintess Kyan Ling could not maintain inner peace. Always feeling that part of hers, strange sensations were rampant. The human body is indeed fascinating. Focusing consciousness on that place spontaneously stimulates. For a moment, she felt a little wet. Lin Zaiasu's eyes lowered. In the hall, there's a fake Heavenly King, not surprising. What's surprising is, in the basement, there's that kind of real sensation. All distractions in Saintess Kyan Ling's mind cleared instantly. She lowered her head in shock. The real Fog Heavenly King in the basement. That's the only explanation, Lin Zaiasu said. For this operation, you temporarily hold back, I will go. As the voice fell, Lin Zaiasu's figure suddenly flickered, vanished on the spot. In the next moment, he had already infiltrated the manor. 5 minutes later, he followed a middle-aged gentleman. Then the middle-aged gentleman fell in the bathroom. While he exited the bathroom, his face had already transformed into that of the middle-aged gentleman. Countless people outside maintained high alert, but no one noticed that the manor's butler had been replaced. This butler, not at all like a person entering the manor for the first time. He was exceedingly familiar with all routes, opened a room, entered through a dark gate, opened the dark gate, descended all the way. Below was a basement. Though a basement, it appeared more upscale than the upper part, because this basement was where the truly modernized furnishings were. A beautiful lady, soaked entirely in a spring. The spring water flowed over her skin like congealed fat. The strands of light fog outlined an exceptional silhouette. She was completely nude. Every part of her wondrous body resembled the flawless work crafted by a master jade carver. Her eyes slowly opened, quietly watching the approaching butler. The butler was a man. She was a woman. Her whole body was entirely exposed to the man, yet she felt no strange sensation. "Crow, is there something?" Her voice cold as ice. "S. A finger pointed towards. This finger unspeakably fast. The woman's entire body trembled. This tremor causing a sudden churn in the pool mist. If an ordinary person faced such sudden dense fog resembling snakes surrounding them, they would undoubtedly panic-stricken. However, was the butler an ordinary person? He's Lin Zaiasu. Under the heavenly Tao wisdom eye, the dense mist presented zero hindrance. His figure abruptly shifted position to the other side of the pool. Silently, the woman emerged naked from the mist, seemingly becoming part of the mist itself at that moment. Yet this fatal finger awaited her at the pool edge. Whomp! The finger landed precisely on the beauty's forehead. The beauty thus turned into a sculpture, holding an incredibly graceful pose, fixed by the poolside. Water flowed off the beauty's body, perhaps mixed with her sweat. Because she is the Fog Heavenly King. Because she clearly knew the visitor was not the butler Crow, it was Lin Zaiasu. Moreover, she had fallen to his scheme. Just as she grasped this realization, her consciousness swiftly plunged into chaos. "Are you the nine-headed snake's Fog Heavenly King?" Lin Zaiasu's voice pierced through the soul. "Yes." "Who are the other nine-headed snake's heavenly kings? Who are they in reality?" "Ice Heavenly King Kelson, Royal Guard Commander of Luo Rai Country, Fiery Fire Heavenly King Lays, Head of the Lays family, Dark Heavenly King Dudo, Boss of Pero Group, Water Heavenly King Joseph, Chairman of Romanian Executive Committee." In a single breath, all four Heavenly Kings were enumerated. She indeed knows all the Heavenly King details. With all four Heavenly Kings thrown out, Lin Zaiasu felt deeply shocked. These four, truly extraordinary, include international political figures, commercial moguls, ancient family heads, and a royal guard commander. Covering politics, military, commerce, family. And who is the venerable Hydra snake? As this question was asked, Lin Zaiasu himself felt a bit apprehensive. Because this name symbolized the ultimate secret of nine-headed snake. "I cannot be certain because the Lord has strict orders, prohibits identity detection of him. Every time I see the Lord, it's not his true image." Where is the most detailed list of nine-headed snake personnel hidden? Dazen Technology Center, there's a secret chamber. Having said it all, this Fog Heavenly King of the nine-headed snake had reached life's end. Lin Zaiasu's finger trembled, transformed into a true chi blade. One slash down, the infinitely beautiful head flew towards the spring pool. This flawless body turned to a corpse. Within the castle, the singing and dancing continued. All guards remained fully alert, but no one knew that tonight's assassination was actually already completed. Lin Zaiasu exited the secret chamber, locked the door, and walked with a gentleman's stride to another secret chamber, still in the butler identity. Here, he saw the communication image between Fog Heavenly King and the Lord. For the first time, the Lord revealed his dignity before him. An elder with a head full of white hair, every strand meticulously styled. His eyes were an unusual green. It is said this is only the visage of the Lord, because the Fog Heavenly King told him that this face is not the real face. The Lord has only appeared before a few first-class Heavenly Kings, and the apparent look is not real. Moreover, he strictly ordered that no one is allowed to reverse detect him. Thus, the Fog Heavenly King dared not to probe him. No one is certain who exactly this Lord is. Lin Zaiasu's time-space reversal couldn't capture photographs, but his eyes transformed into a camera at this moment, clearly recording every detail and feature of the face, imprinting it completely in his mind. Then he left the secret chamber. At the next moment, he arrived at the manor. In another moment, he was out of the manor. Throughout the process, the guards remained undisturbed. All responsible individuals were waiting for this legendary killer to break in. In their minds, the traps in the castle were deemed unnecessary since the killer hadn't arrived. But who could have known? The miracle of this killer was beyond their imagination. He had already come, waved his hand, and took the life of the Fog Heavenly King. Then, carrying a heap of critical information, he met up with Saintess Kyan Ling outside. How was it? A trace of sound from Saintess Kyan Ling reached Lin Ziasu's ear as he appeared beside her. The Fog Heavenly King is dead. Just these 5 words stirred Saintess Kyan Ling's heart. Tonight is the Heavenly King assassination plot, Lin Ziasu said. There's more than an hour left until dawn, enough to eliminate the other 2 Heavenly Kings on Luoba State's land. Originally, he planned to give the Fog Heavenly King 3 hours, but in reality, it only took more than an hour to settle it, saving more than an hour. Now, he intended to use this extra time to eliminate the remaining 2 Heavenly Kings. For Kyan Long, the greatest difficulty with the Hydra Snake King was not knowing who the Heavenly Kings were. Once they're identified, tracing their whereabouts wouldn't be difficult at all. In Lin Ziasu's Dragon Eye, he had already located the tracks of 4 Heavenly Kings. Among them, 2 Heavenly Kings were still in Luoba State. One was in Luo Rai Country, the Royal Guard Commander, Ice Heavenly King. The other was on Gong Yang Island, Fire Heavenly King Lays. Wing blades sliced through the air, traversing thousands of miles of Luoba State in moments. Swoosh, a sharp sound sliced over the ancient palace of Luo Rai Country, and Kelson, the Royal Guard Commander who had just awoken from a dream, had his head fly off, his blood spurted out and froze on the ground. Ice Heavenly King dead. An hour later on Gong Yang Island, as the wing blade sliced through the air, the highest roof of an ancient castle split into 2. A completely red silhouette stood amidst the ruins, faint red lights flickering around him. The red light suddenly divided, accompanied by an extremely stunning sword light. Fiery Fire Heavenly King Lays, head of the Lays family, met an untimely death. As the dust settled, the rising sun once again shone on Luoba State's land. Above the sea, mountains stood like swords. Beneath the mountains, a beautiful field, an ancient castle like a fairy tale amidst this beautiful world. Inside the castle, an old man shook violently. In front of him, 2 scenes. One scene depicted the palace in Luo Rai Country, the Ice Heavenly King whose blood had frozen. The other scene portrayed the ruin-stricken Fire Heavenly King. Lord, a mass of black smoke on the ground trembled. Lin Ziasu has already grasped the list of Heavenly Kings. Otherwise, he couldn't conduct such precise assassinations. The Heavenly King list is known to none but the Fog Heavenly King. How is the Fog Heavenly King situation? The Lord asked. The shadow on the ground suddenly lifted its head. News has just reached me. The Fog Heavenly King set up an assassination plot last night. The enemy didn't even enter the castle. Connect to the Fog Heavenly King. At the Lord's command, special communication commenced. However, there was no connection. The Lord's expression finally changed. The next moment, a new shadow appeared on the ground. Someone emerged from outside and knelt. Report to the Lord, something happened to the Fog Heavenly King. She set up the assassination, yet the enemy didn't trigger it, finding her true form precisely, killing her in the dark chamber. The outside monitoring devices show this person disguised as Butler Crow. The Lord slowly lifted his gaze. Prepare, he may find his way here. Below, 2 shadows lifted their heads simultaneously. Don't harbor any hopes. Prepare arrangements to ensure that once he enters, he is killed in 1 strike, the Lord said. Yes. The 2 below responded in unison, somewhat excited. If you asked them whether they hoped Lin Ziasu would find his way here now or wished he'd never find it, they would certainly wish for the discovery. Why? It's because so-called slaughter is relative. Lin Ziasu with wing blade, aligning Qianlong King's power, assassinating the Hydra Snake King, perhaps gaining the upper hand. But as long as he dares to come here, there will be no return. Today, it seemed calm and tranquil. On the Twitter platform, discussions about the Hydra Snake were inexplicably throttled, taken down, overshadowed by random celebrity gossip. However, one piece of news sent a tumult through the highest levels of the Hydra Snake. The boss of the Paro group died in Yingyu Country. Yingyu Country, several thousand kilometers away from Luoba State. A boss of a group isn't a significant matter. But only the Supreme Lord and their close circles knew that the boss of the Paro group was their dark heavenly king. Lin Zaiasu's heavenly king assassination plot continues. Within a night, he had slain 4 heavenly kings on Luoba State: Iron Blood Heavenly King, Fog Heavenly King, Ice Heavenly King, and Fiery Fire Heavenly King. Today, he ventured to Yingyu country, slaying the distant Dark Heavenly King. Originally, the 9-headed snake had 8 heavenly kings. Now, only 1 heavenly king remains. All the heavenly kings have been slain by Lin Zaiasu alone. Does he truly intend to hunt down all the heavenly kings single-handedly? Chapter 485. Chapter 485. The True Foundation of the 9-Headed Snake. The only one left. Water Heavenly King Joseph. Dare you kill him? He is the chairman of the Romanian Committee. He is a prominent figure in international politics. He just finished the Tokyo International Forum and boarded a plane back to Luoba State. The Lord has ordered. His protection is not focused on safeguarding, but rather using all monitoring means to ensure the moment Joseph is killed is completely recorded, without missing any detail. Of course, the magnificent Water Heavenly King, a super heavyweight piece in international politics, is not someone they would really give up willingly. This Joseph is a stand-in. Joseph returns, and the high-ranking officials of the Romanian greet him at the airport. All links are fully activated. The entire process is calm and peaceful. There is no assassination, none at all. However, in an ordinary restaurant in Tokyo, an assassination occurred, and a businessman was beheaded. With this beheading, the Lord almost spat blood. Because this businessman was Joseph, whom he specifically protected. Joseph is a big shot in politics, upon whom the 9-headed snake relied heavily. This heavenly king is a key figure for the 9-headed snake to control Western politics. He can't afford to let him go. Therefore, he set up double insurance and implemented a stand-in strategy. However, Lin Zaiasu saw through this strategy, ignored the stand-in, and beheaded the real Joseph. As a result, the Water Heavenly King is gone. Not even a whisper can be raised. And you still accuse Qianlong of assassinating Western political figures. Everyone saw with their own eyes this political figure striding back to the Romanian headquarters with ease and relaxation. As for the businessman who died in Tokyo, how can you link him with a politician? Lin Zaiasu's detective skills have become the most troublesome skill for the Lord at this point. How did those damn eyes manage to be so piercing? To be able to see through all the fog, grabbing where it hurts the Lord the most, pulling without mercy. East Jingla City. A small lake. The autumn water in the lake ripples gently. Trees by the lake, the leaves slightly yellow. A Western-style cafe, the Saintess Qian Ling gently raises her hand, lifts the coffee in her cup, and lightly touches it against the cup of a handsome man who looks Western but has black hair. A voice like the wind through the forest drifts into his ear. In 2 days, clearing the 6 great kings created the greatest legend in history. Qianlong may not have raised a glass for you, but I celebrate you. Lin Zaiasu smiles slightly. The next step is the most critical step. The most critical, Saintess Qian Ling asks, facing the Lord directly. I haven't found this Lord yet, Lin Zaiasu says, but he is not the most key target either. Saintess Qian Ling says, the most crucial target in your plan isn't the Lord. Of course not, Lin Zaiasu says. The true foundation of the 9-headed snake has never been the Lord, nor the 8 heavenly kings, but its grassroots network spread all over the world. Saintess Qian Ling is slightly surprised. The true foundation of the 9-headed snake is not the Lord, not the 8 heavenly kings, but those grassroots networks spread worldwide. What is the meaning of this? This statement overturns her struggle concepts from 10,000 years ago. In the era of Wan clan contend for supremacy, she was also a prominent figure and had led various actions. Her sight was always at the top level, because she knew very well that the strength of a faction depends on the leader and the top level. Once the leader and top levels are taken, the small fry at the bottom of this faction are generally negligible. However, Lin Zaiasu is exactly the opposite. He gave the answer. The true foundation of the 9-headed snake is not the Lord, not the high-ranking heavenly kings, but the ordinary members below. Lin Zaiasu explained. In modern social systems, an underground force hidden in the dark is very different from a sect in the Jianghu. For example, the current 9-headed snake. Its 8 heavenly kings are gone, but new kings will soon emerge. If the Lord is gone, someone will take over and become the new Lord. As long as those lower-level members are still there, those lines are still there, this organization will quickly resume operation. No matter how hard it gets hit, it is still the nine-headed snake. But what if you dig out its grassroots? Then at most, this organization still has some experts, but without a foundation it becomes fundamentally harmless. Saintess Kyan Ling nods gently. I admit your theory is correct, but it is only limited to theory. The reality is the information of the nine-headed snake members spread worldwide is vast and mixed. Whether it's Kyan Long or various countries, numerous security agencies searching for its members, there are daily discoveries, but that's about it. You can't possibly dig them all out at once. Not necessarily, Lin Ziasu smiles mysteriously. Not necessarily, Saintess Kyan Ling is taken aback. Don't forget, we have already infiltrated the highest level of the nine-headed snake headquarters. Any institution, especially a massive organization like the nine-headed snake hidden in the shadows, must have a complete personnel list. The coffee in Saintess Kyan Ling's hand completely stops shaking. The wind blows, but the steam above the coffee doesn't drift. A complete personnel list. Is it possible? Theoretically, yes. Why? The nine-headed snake is a strictly structured, extremely complex organization with constant personnel changes. This organization issues a variety of tasks daily. Without a complete personnel list, how could they coordinate uniformly? For example, to bomb a certain building, they always have to know if any of their people are in that building, right? Or to infiltrate an institution for a dangerous task, they need to know if they had embedded any mole there beforehand, right? Precisely grasping personnel on global lines allows them to carry out tasks comfortably. Therefore, the nine-headed snake headquarters, in theory, truly has this personnel list. Even if there is such a personnel list, it should be top secret among top secrets. Even the heavenly kings might not be able to fully control it. Could it be that this fog heavenly king actually has control over it? The voice of Saintess Kyan Ling that entered Lin Ziasu's ear had a slight change. She was somewhat agitated, because this list seemed to become the true cornerstone of the vast nine-headed snake system. She could scarcely imagine what a terrifying scene it would be if this cornerstone wavered. She does not have the list, but she confirmed its existence, and she also told me the location of this list, Lin Ziasu said. Saintess Kyan Ling slowly put down the coffee cup. Going now. Go. The two left the cafe, looking very much like a Western couple, but the next moment they seemed to vanish into thin air. Then a wing blade cut through the air, flying towards a place. This place north of Dan, my country, beneath a tall mountain. There was a modern research center. In any research center, security is of utmost importance. This research center even more so, because it is the core zone of Dazen Technology Company. Dazen, a global chip giant. Among the company's security systems, there are countless robots with the latest technology. There are high-level gene people. This is the protection known to ordinary people. Yet in the eyes of Lin Ziasu and Saintess Kyan Ling, is it just these? What they saw as high-level gene people are awakeners and nirvanas. Yes, there are nirvanas. The robots they saw feared each possesses black technologies. However, no matter how tight the security, as long as there are people, Lin Ziasu has room to operate. Once he used transformation technique, he turned into the security guard of the research center, entering with ease. Then, after using the transformation technique 4 times, he understood the 7 major divisions of the research center. Among them, T3 Zone was his area of focus. There is the most important data storage center. There is a computer that is not networked. After learning this top-secret information, Lin Ziasu's heart pounded. A fiercely beating heart. In the modern society, stealing data through hacking methods is ingenious and also a very difficult way to defend against. You have hacker tactics, I have firewalls, you have viruses, I have antivirus. The cyber battlefield has always been invisible. Thus, there is one ultimate defense method, which is to completely disconnect from the network physically. That non-networked computer is it storing the most top-secret personnel list. If it were an ordinary spy, they would likely pursue this direction without turning back. However, Lin Ziasu knew there is only one opportunity to get the data. Once the grass is startled, the enemy would rather destroy this information than give him a second chance, so he proceeded cautiously. His caution was to enter the 3rd Zone manager's office area, using the transformation technique. Seizing the moment this manager went to the bathroom, he sneaked into the bathroom and placed a finger on the manager's forehead, asking him a few soul-searching questions. This interrogation, Lin Zaiasu broke into a cold sweat on his back. How cunning the nine-headed snake. The information known to this mid-level department manager turned out to be false. In the T3 zone, there indeed was a non-networked computer, but it did not contain the personnel list. Instead, there was a high-energy bomb that could turn everything biological in that specially designed room into steam. The real personnel list is in the P3 zone. There it is marked as high-risk radioactive secret laboratory. This is the nine-headed snake, even deceiving their own people. In the blink of an eye, Lin Zaiasu had been in this research center for half an hour. He already felt the urgency of time. After all, several people had already died in the bathroom. If undiscovered now, they would certainly find out in an hour or two. He must hurry. The next destination, he directly chose the P3 zone manager. In the bathroom, he took a long breath. The target was finally confirmed. Next, he donned the white coat of the third zone manager and began his operation, heading to the high-risk radioactive secret laboratory. At the entrance, there is biometric detection. A green light circled him, and he passed smoothly. This wondrous transformation technique. Ahead, there was fingerprint detection. His finger carried the skin of this manager, and he passed smoothly. Ahead, there was iris detection. Raising his gaze slightly, with a slight bloodshot in his eyes, he still passed. With this pass, his rapidly beating heart calmed. Extracted the manager's iris, deceiving the detection devices. This even the most advanced spy of Qianlong performing would be an extremely precise surgery, he accomplished with bare hands. Identity fully verified, it became simple afterward. He used a time-space reversal method, seeing the password the manager entered yesterday, according to the password, adding one at the end as the manager mentioned, passed smoothly.